The following is a special presentation of ESPN on ABC.
Dapper Pete Carroll and the USC Trojans bring their flashy style and their #1 ranking to the heartland. Lincoln, Nebraska is painted red tonight as the Cornhuskers begin their quest to upend #1. They're far apart on the map. The coast of the Golden State, the Nebraska heartland. But they're so close when it comes to carving out legacies. So alike when it comes to larger-than-life legends and unforgettable teams. Different places, the same pride. The pride that comes from building a program that proves itself again and again over time. With football in the trenches, or floating through the air, pounding out the yards, or dancing through them. Both schools have winning histories. Both have enjoyed long reigns at the top of the game.
He's all the way home! A perfect season, your national champions.
Both teams traveled the road to success. And now it takes them here, to prime time, where top-ranked USC meets number 14 Nebraska on Saturday Night Football. You are looking live at Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska, one of the grand stages in all of college football. It's the #1 USC Trojans and the number 14 Nebraska Cornhuskers on Saturday Night Football, presented by Southwest Airlines. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. I'm Brent Musburger, along with Kirk Herbstreit. So nice of you to drop by tonight. You know, a week ago we were down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We saw a very good LSU team, but you said afterwards, USC, even though they're idle, deserves to stay #1.
You got my goosebumps going here with that. You're looking live, my man. I really did. I went back to last week and I thought LSU, that's the strongest statement we've seen to this point. But I thought it was only fair. I thought USC is the best team up to this point on paper. Tonight, we find out really how good they are on the road and in tough environment. And after tonight, then we can assess who the top 2 or 3 or 4 teams are in the country.
Kirk, what about Nebraska? Are they equipped to stay with the Trojans here tonight?
Well, absolutely. The fact that it's here at Memorial Stadium gives them a chance. The fact that they have a quarterback who's gone up against USC gives them a chance. The key is keeping this crowd in the game. Having something good happen early is going to help them keep the momentum, and Sam Keller is the key. He has to avoid mistakes and give his team a chance to win this football game.
Very unusual for us to be here when the Cornhuskers are a huge underdog. Another sellout crowd, folks, and all they want to do is celebrate.
Here we go! I just wanna celebrate. I just wanna celebrate. Come on now, everyone stay up with me. Saturday night party, let the band all blow their horns. We can show what's going on. Let's do this thing our way. Live to see another day. Can't let us, don't hesitate. Come on, y'all, let's celebrate.
There's no competition, I went over and over until you sick of me. Victory after victory, I prove you can't get with me. My game's unstoppable. My defense that'll stop you fools. Make it hard to move, it's easy to lose when you're going against the best. Now you're being put to the test. Welcome to the Terror Dome, now you're on your own. We gon' see who regulates and who gets to celebrate.
I just wanna celebrate. I wanna celebrate. I just wanna celebrate. Yeah. I just wanna celebrate. I just wanna celebrate. Yeah.
ESPN on ABC. Is USC #1? A lot of people think it's LSU. They have something to prove tonight on the road in Lincoln at Nebraska, ranked number 14. Saturday Night Football coming up in just a moment. John Saunders, Craig James, and Doug Flutie. The other question to be answered today was, Who was worse, Michigan or Notre Dame? And boy, did this get answered in a hurry. You see this snap over top of the quarterback. That's the second time it happened in the game.
In the middle of the first quarter, they could not snap the ball to the quarterback. They were abysmal. They couldn't tackle. They were ridiculous. This team has no talent.
Just not physical at all.
Mike Hart, 187 yards. Other surprising scores as Florida blows out Tennessee 59-20. Tebow with 299 yards passing. And UCLA, ranked number 11, is getting blown out by Utah 44-6. Let's look ahead now to this game against Nebraska. And you heard Kirk talk about it and give Nebraska a chance because it is in Memorial Stadium. Just the same, this is a chance for USC to show everything.
And USC has a chance here. I mean, this is one of those games where, we haven't seen them on the field yet, but this is where the running backs and the wide receivers at USC, they need to show up. We get a chance to see what they can do on the field. We know they have great talent. Nebraska's defense, only 2 sacks on the season. They better find a way to get in the backfield, and Booty will get after them.
USC's defense is fast. They're going to get in Keller's face, and when people are in his face, he has a tendency to put it up for grabs.
All right, for more on the game, let us go to the guys who are sidelined, been there all day long, Chris Fowler and Lee Corso.
John, thank you. This is a very hostile house. The Big Red Nation is in full voice. And, Lee, this is the kind of test USC is going to have to pass again and again this season if they're going to play for a national title. The Bush Liner, great teams did so, but it was a struggle. There were close games along the way, and there's some newcomers tonight for USC.
When USC walks on the field, they expect to win the game. You've never seen such poise with these guys. Here's the good news for USC. They've won every away game that they've played. They've lost 5 regular season games. Listen to this, all 5 away from the Coliseum. If Nebraska wins their A game and this new USC team is untested, you never know what can happen. I'm telling you.
But there is an eerie calm and almost a swagger for USC.
Yeah.
Didn't seem unfazed in the walkthrough. Hardly seemed concerned out here for the pregame warm-up. They're used to this, but this will be a supreme challenge. This is the loud end down by the students. Let's go to Brent and Kirk in the booth. This ought to be a lot of fun, folks.
Chris and Lee, thank you so very much. And Chris, you said it so well. This is a grand scene in here tonight. And when the Cornhuskers start to appear, led by Coach Bill Callahan, this stadium will erupt. Sold out for the 284th consecutive time. And a crowd that so wants to believe. And Callahan so wants a victory that would define his regime here at Nebraska. Badly in need of a quality win, they come out tonight matched against number 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, here come the
Huskers! 54 degrees in Lincoln. Folks, it's a beautiful night for a football game. This game is being broadcast on ABC HD, presented by DLP HD TV. Well, there's a young man from North Hollywood, California, who's hoping for a big night against USC. That's running back Marlon Lucky. For more on that story, here's Lisa Salters.
Well, Brent, Marlon Lucky wants everyone to meet the new and improved Marlon Lucky tonight. He was replaced as the starter midway through last season and admits he really sulked the rest of the year. In fact, he went into Coach Callahan's office in January and said, "Coach, I quit." Callahan said, "No way, we need you." Lucky decided to stay, but he said he was really unhappy, so unhappy that he made himself sick, missed several days of school in February. When he got himself healthy, he came back to school, he rededicated himself to the program, said he wanted to make a complete change, including his jersey. He wore number 20 last year, now he's wearing number 5. Why 5? No real reason, Lucky said, "I just want to start over." Brent?
Well, we will see him on the first possession of the night for Coach Bill Callahan, and Callahan hoping he can establish a run game early on against this USC defense. Now, Callahan and the Cornhuskers won the toss. Pete Carroll then had his choice, and he said, "We're going to go on defense." And by the way, happy birthday to that man. 56 years old here today. And I think I should say about Pete Carroll, Kirk, 56 years young.
There's no doubt about that. He has a lot of fun as the head coach at USC.
David Beeler with the ball on the tee. He's from Anaheim. He'll kick it off. Andre Jones and Courtney Grixby are back deep for the Huskers. Short and high. Fielded on the run at the 19-yard line. There's an alley, a crease to the 34 for Andre Jones. Well, to introduce us to the Nebraska offense, here's comedian Larry the Cable Guy.
Back for revenge, the Cornhuskers turned to gunslinging quarterback Sam Keller. His favorite targets are going to be Terrence Nunn and Nate Swift. Coming out of the backfield, keeping the USC defense busier than Phil Spector's hairdresser, Marlon Lucky. And the big gun on the line is Brent Byford. Go Huskers!
And Larry the Cable Guy up in his luxury box here, just to our left up behind the end. He's ready, Kirk. But here comes Sam Keller. Many of you know the story. Kirk and I will detail it for you. He started against USC when he was a starter at Arizona State. And here's number 5, Marlon Lucky, jitterbugging for no more than a yard and a half against this USC defense. Well, we've got to have some star power for the Trojans, folks. And here to introduce their defense, their former great, Reggie Bush.
Now, introducing the USC defense, a.k.a. the Hit Squad. Up front, leading the defensive line, we got Lawrence Jackson at defensive end and Cedric Ellis at nose tackle. At linebacker, we got Keith Rivers, Brian Cushing, and Ray Maluga. Leading the secondary, we got Terrell Thomas at cornerback and Taylor Mays at safety.
Keller's first pass is for a first down to the 49-yard line. A 13-yard gain. Gary Harris, the corner, making the defensive play, but there's Keller. That'll help his confidence.
Wow, that is a big throw for Sam Keller early. This is a fade stop, thrown to the backside shoulder of Purify. He comes off so hard, Harris thinks he's going to get upfield, and that is just great timing there by the quarterback and his receiver.
And Kirk Purify, another Californian.
Yes, sir.
Eureka. He felt a little snubbed by the Trojans. Missed game 1. We can detail that a little bit later. From the gun, his second pass incomplete. And Franz Hardy could not hang on to it with Ellison defending there.
Britt, Sam Keller, it's been pretty well documented, his story, but for people that aren't familiar with it, it's amazing. He was at Arizona State as a starting quarterback. He actually went up against the USC Trojans. His last probably highlight was being up 21-3 against USC in 2005. To have a second chance back at him, he's waited a long time for this.
Downhill in the second half. 4 of his 5 picks came in there, but now after the first down, flashes out to the side. His second completed pass, and that's good for about 4 yards that time. Todd Peterson is the receiver, and Keith Rivers, the outstanding linebacker, back defensively. There is the timeline that Kirk referred to. Named the Arizona State starter on August 18th. 2 days later, Rudy Carpenter jumped over him after a meeting with Coach Cutter and his father. And so on the 24th, 4 days after that, he transferred up here to Nebraska. What a saga. And we're going to be talking about that throughout the evening. Here is third down. Sack. Taken down. The Trojans mount that attack up front. There was no stopping the big fellas that time. Lawrence Jackson, big number 96.
Well, this is confusion again. We saw so much of this last week from LSU. It's another third down situation. The great defenses take advantage of third downs. A zone blitz confuses the offensive line, and Jackson, who's one of the best defensive ends in the country, is untouched. An easy pathway right to the quarterback.
Could be a long bag if they don't block him, my friend.
That's right.
Let me tell you that. Fourth down now. Danny Titchener. Back to punt, number 97, junior from Cheyenne, Wyoming. Hangs one, Reed, gonna let it go, and it kicks inside the 5. Oh, beautiful punt by Dan Titchener, the junior. McEwen, the linebacker, down there to down it for him. Well, let's meet this USC offense now, and let's go back to the former Heisman Trophy winner, Reggie Bush.
All right, introducing the USC highly powered offense. First up, we got the receivers. We got Patrick Turner and David Osbury. Throwing to him, we got quarterback Heisman Hopeful, John David Booty. Up front, we got the bodyguards, led by offensive lineman, two-time All-American, Sam Baker.
John David Booty inside the 5-yard line. Tight power eye, smash mouth football formation. And he does use the fullback right straight ahead, who breaks into the clear. 25, 30, 35, across midfield, ridden down at the 45-yard line. And Bowman may have saved a touchdown. That is a 50-yard run by Stanley Havili.
What's great here is to watch the center, a true freshman, making his first start on the road. He gets a great block, Christopher O'Dowd, that springs the fullback Havili. And Steve Sarkisian, the offensive coordinator, said, with all the talk about our great tailbacks, the MVP of this offense is Stanley Havili, because he can do it all out of that fullback position. And all of a sudden, Nebraska has a chance to pin USC back, and a big gain on the first play for the Trojans.
50-yard burst. The redshirt freshman from Salt Lake City. Timeout is called by the Trojans. John David Booty will come on over. Head coach Pete Carroll awaits him here on his birthday. We'll take our first break here in Lincoln. 3 wide, and the single running back C.J. Gable, who drew the start, the sophomore, is behind John David Booty, and play on is the signal here. A first down at the 47-yard line for the Trojans, their opening series. Bring end around motion, and here's Gable. He slips the first tackle, open field, 25. And he's to the 5-yard line. And Kirk, I got to go back to tackling practice. That's a 40-yard gain on top of a 50-yard gain.
Well, Zachary Bowman, you're going to see a corner come off to the right here. He collapses in, and he lowers his head, and against a good tailback like C.J. Gable, he's going to have the ability to bounce to the outside. And once Bowman collapsed in, there's nobody left to the outside, making it very easy to see what C.J. Gable can do in the open field. One of many of these SC tailbacks.
Here's a first down and goal. You look from behind Stephon Johnson, who relieves Gable. He's number 13. They're 5 deep there, folks. Spin, nothing doing. Gained about half a yard. You know, we still haven't introduced this defensive lineup. I'm sure they're shell-shocked right now. They're presented by Michelin. Let's go back now to Larry the Cable Guy.
In the trenches, we got Barry Turner mixing it up for the Huskers. At linebacker, Nebraska's all-time leading tackler, Bo Rude. Right next to him, Corey McKee. Don't mess with him. In the backfield, stopping USC's offense, we got Tierra Green and Courtney Grigsby. Black shirts, get her done.
The black shirts are in trouble here. Here's the throw, touchdown just like that. John David Booty on a strike. That was Havili, the fullback, and that is his second touchdown of the season. How easy was that?
We talked about LSU last week. LSU just went 4 plays and over 95 yards, and John David Booty, first time he has to throw, he's in perfect rhythm because of the ability of USC to run the ball. That's how you take a crowd out of the game. 4 plays.
Whoa. 96-yard scoring drive for the Trojans. Takes your breath away. 7-0 in Lincoln.
Saturday Night Football on ABC, presented by Southwest Airlines. With Southwest Airlines' convenient nonstop flights, it's like having your own company plane. Visit southwest.com. DLP HD TV. DLP is the official ESPN on ABC HD telecast sponsor of college football. And Dodge. Live life to the fullest. Dodge. Grab life.
Our scene earlier today, the folks at Game Day had a huge crowd here of some 13,000, and folks, that's the second largest ever for that wonderful pregame show Chris and Lee and Kirk put on this morning, and that crowd this morning was making more noise than I hear right now from 81,000, because the Trojans just took their breath away with a 4-play 96-yard drive.
That's like a punch to the gut. You know, they've been waiting for this opportunity against the #1 team, and 4 plays, they went right down the field.
Here comes Grigsby looking for field position. There's a penalty on this play. Grigsby twists to the 26, and there is a penalty. This is a Big 12 crew, in case you're wondering here tonight. Randy Crystal is our referee.
Blocking the back, number 9 on the receiving team during the run. Be a 10-yard penalty, first down.
So we've talked about Sam Keller. Let's take you back. Arizona State against USC a couple years ago. Kirk, you were there.
We were there for game day, and I'm going to tell you something. USC was #1. They were on the ropes at halftime. Sam had Arizona State up 21-3, and then it got a little bit difficult, Brent, in the second half.
To say the least. 4 interceptions, 5 on the game. The young man was celebrating in the first half, but not in the second. As the Trojans pulled away, everybody says much more mature now. There'll be no celebrating as he settles in against these guys. His daddy was a fine football player at the University of Michigan. He was there when Bo Schembechler took over, and there's a penalty flag. Is that a delay?
Yeah, it is.
Offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
And there is his father, Mike Keller.
You know, the quarterback will tell you got to get the play in faster, and the coaches will tell you, guys, you got to be aware of the play clock. The bottom line, Brent, is they've got to get on the same page. It's the last thing you can afford deep in your own territory after SC just went the length of the field is to have a 5-yard penalty.
And his father was a defensive player, in case you're wondering, at the University of Michigan. At the goal line, incomplete. And it'll be second down and long. So after the long scoring drive, now we've had 2 quick penalties. These are the things that the Cornhuskers could not afford to have happen.
They can't afford to have this happen. And then you look on the other side of the ball at USC and you think, this is why we're USC. This is why we're 59-6 in the last 5 years. They're used to coming into tough environments. In fact, they welcome the challenge of coming into a tough environment to take the crowd out of the game and take the stadium over. Nebraska has to get out of this hole right now.
Clay Matthews is starting in place of the injured Brian Cushing at that 1 linebacker spot. Sets the screen. Good call, good play. Out to the 25-yard line, and Marlon Lucky, number 5, the junior from North Hollywood, picks up 17 yards before Taylor Mays, the outstanding safety, makes the play.
What a well-designed play by Bill Callahan. All the momentum looks like it's going off to the right. The defense falls to their left, and they just throw it simply right back to the middle of the offensive alignment, where it's a middle screen to Marlon Lucky. Great job of taking advantage of the speed of SC's defense.
Sam Keller now 3 of 5. So he's off to a positive start. First down and 10. And here is Lucky pounding the middle of that defense, manned by Moala and Ellis down there in front, and then Keith Rivers, number 55, helps out. Keith Rivers, folks, is a legitimate All-American linebacker, and he plays next to, well, I think the hardest hitter in the college game, Ray Maualuga, number 58, and those two fellas now they can bring.
And you add Brian Cushing, who's out with an ankle injury. Clay Matthews, of course, has stepped in for him. But I think you have the best linebacking crew in the nation, without a question.
Cody Glenn is in off the play fake. Keller rolls to buy time, got the underneath man, but it's going to be short of the first down because of a big hit by Harris. Number 7 comes up and prevents a first down. Good tackle, young man.
So this gives you an idea of the versatility of the linebackers of USC and what they can do. You can see him going with the flow, and then right away, Keith Rivers looks back and finds the receiver right here. He wants to find Peterson because he has to be able to take him away. He takes him away and forces Keller to dump it underneath. Now it's another third down for Nebraska.
And Glenn, the junior from Rusk, Texas, stays in that backfield. Mill got the first down. So another well-called play, and number 34 was used as a receiver that time. And Kirk, You got to be impressed now. Callahan has come back and moved the chains with a couple of good calls here.
Well, after everything that happened there, considering the penalties that they had, and they were deep in their own territory, to come back and get 2 first downs, Brent, I can't tell you enough how important the momentum and keeping the crowd believing, how important that is early in this game. And getting a couple first downs can help this team believe that they can move the ball against SC.
Lucky is set up behind J.B. Phillips. Phillips normally a tight end or an H-back. He'll operate as the fullback. And they'll see if Lucky can get anything on the outside. And he squirts free for a couple of yards that time, number 5 does.
I thought it was interesting when you and I had a chance to sit down with Lisa to talk with Sam Keller. He said, you know, the whole process of going through being the man in Arizona State, and then all of a sudden being benched, and Rudy Carpenter being the guy, and then transferring to Nebraska, sitting out all last year and running the scout team. Not only did it humble me, I think it might be the best thing that happened to me to allow me to come here and get things in order and have a second chance to show what I can do as a quarterback.
Pops can only stand and watch here tonight. Tried to blitz him, got picked up, got one beautiful grab at the 40-yard line. Keller gets it done that time with another terrific throw. Nate Swift, number 87 from Hutchinson, Minnesota, for 21 yards.
And with Taylor Mays roaming in the middle of the field, it's important that Sam Keller, who was hanging on here, waiting for his receiver Swift to break loose, he puts just enough air on it to allow his receiver to make the catch and give him time to get down before the safety, Taylor Mays, could come over.
Keller now 6 of 8. He has driven into Trojan territory here, down by a touchdown. And they pound behind the right side. And now it is time for us to get our first update. So let's check in with Matt Weiner. Matt.
All right, Brent, it's a Taco Bell update from Provo, Utah. Tough place to play. Just ask the UCLA Bruins, who were used up by Utah. Tommy Grady to Daryl Mack. Grady had 4 touchdown passes on the day. Number 11 goes down. Number 9, Louisville in trouble at Kentucky. It's 19-7 there.
Okay, Matt, that's a surprise that Utah manhandled him. Grady starting to grow up after transferring, as you said. And down Soonerland, and now Keller tries to set it incomplete, and that was a dangerous throw. That one was almost picked off. Clay Matthews, the linebacker there.
Brent, the pressure this time got to Sam Keller. When you get back as a quarterback against this defense and you see a blitz, in this case it's Clay Matthews who comes down low in a very dangerous situation, and Keller's lucky to get back up. You've got to get back and get rid of the football. Bill Callahan, the head coach of Nebraska, telling us that the quarterback is just as important in the pass protection and getting rid of the ball as the offensive line.
3rd down now for Keller. Here's a big play for the Huskers, and there's a penalty. Did they call time?
Yeah, I think Nebraska got a timeout there.
Yellow came flying. Let's see.
Timeout. Nebraska. It's their first timeout.
You know, this brings up a story. Callahan was adamant about the fact that they need the same kind of helmet communication that the National Football League uses. We'll talk more about that tonight. Autumn in New England. Tranquil, delightful, deafening, pedal to metal, and volume on full in Fenway. First firepower as NASCAR comes to New Hampshire. Then the game's best rivalry. On Sunday Night Baseball, the Yankees and the Red Sox. Forget the pretty leaves. Remember tomorrow on ABC and ESPN. Nextel at 1 Eastern. The first race of the chase. Can Jimmy Johnson defend? 6 wins already. We'll find out starting tomorrow. 3rd down now. Big play here for Sam Keller and the Cornhuskers. There's a shovel pass. Knocked free by the Trojans. Picked up.
This has got to come back.
It's an incomplete pass, isn't it?
Yeah.
Clay Matthews. But he dashes on into the end zone, but it's an incomplete pass.
Shovel pass. Incomplete. 4th down.
Yeah, the referee was looking over, waiting for somebody to make the appropriate call who might have had a better look of it from the side, but that was without question a shovel pass and the right call.
Watch Cedric Ellis on this play.
Oh, the penetration that they can get, not only from the blitz packages by blitzing linebackers, but Brent, you touched on it. Ellis gets in there, and Lawrence Jackson. They're as good as there is at their positions. How about the job that Clay Matthews has done here in the first couple series, filling in for really the warrior of the USC defense, Brian Cushing. He's been all over the field.
So that will bring up 4th down, and again, Titchener trots onto the field. Remember his first punt, folks? It was down at the 4-yard line, and in 4 plays, the Trojans were on the scoreboard. Now they're sending. This is a long field goal kicker now. Wesh will be the holder, and he will pooch it. So Alex Henry from the pooch situation gets a roll. Reed fumbles. Cornhuskers dive for it. They'll try to unpile them now. No signal. The Cornhuskers say, we've got it. The officiating crew trying to pull them away, and it is USC football. Tug of war underneath, won by Carroll's Trojans.
Brent, this is going to be great to see this because it looks like Nebraska gets in there and they've got the football. There is a lot of fighting. Ball probably exchanged hands a couple of times. And Desmond Reed, the returner, had a chance to fight to get that ball back, but it definitely looked like Nebraska. Zach Potter was right there on top of the ball.
Callahan thought they had it.
And that's the break that they needed right there.
And they did not get it. So now it'll be John David Booty again, operating from inside the 5-yard line. On 1st down, gonna throw it incomplete, and it'll be 2nd down and 10. So using the tight end to come out, they tried to ambush him on 1st down.
I think it should be mentioned that USC over the years, Norm Chow had a lot of credit for this offense. Steve Sarkisian, much has been made about Lane Kiffin leaving USC's offense as the offensive coordinator, becoming the head coach of the Oakland Raiders. The reality is Steve Sarkisian has really been in charge of this offense for the last few years, and he is an aggressive play caller even when he's pinned back in his own territory.
Gable is his running back. It's Gable behind the left side to the 9-yard line, and 3rd down is coming up. Situation right now. They need to reach just beyond the 14 for a 1st down. That's Davis in motion. Booty from the end zone being pursued and throws it away. So the Trojans this time are forced to punt. Octavian and McEwen in pursuit.
The reason they're forced to punt is the timing is disrupted. You could say Bowman gets away with a little bit of a hold there, but that is very good coverage by Zachary Bowman, the best corner of this Nebraska defense. It forces Booty to be flushed, and now it's 4th down.
Woydneck booms it high. Grigsby. Run into him accidentally as he's making a fair catch, and the back judge does not reach for the yellow, and the crowd is not happy about that because there certainly was contact. Well, 2 of the most storied programs in all of college football, huh? There they are, 4th and 10th. Nebraska's never won. Tied once. Heisman winners, 7-3. Reggie Bush, of course, who we heard from earlier with the lineups. National titles, 11-5. Trojans. Sam Keller. They are sticking with the bigger back. Guy is man again. 1st down to the 36 8-yard line, and there's Purify.
That's the matchup that they're looking to try to exploit. A bigger, faster wide receiver, probably their most athletic wide receiver in Purify. It's the exact same route into the boundary. 5 steps, get the ball out, and it's a fade stop thrown to the back shoulder where Purify and Keller have outstanding rhythm and timing. Virtually impossible for the corner, Harris, to make a play on it.
Go. Just go and grab the ball and then stay over there.
Cody Glenn is lined up behind Keller. 2 tight ends, quick slant, and there is Big Purify again inside the 30-yard line. And let's check in down below with Lisa.
Well, Brent, as you know, Maurice Purify is just happy to be on this team. He led Nebraska in TD receptions last season, but had all kinds of off-the-field issues in the offseason, including 2 convictions for driving under the influence. Coach Callahan suspended him for the first game of this season, and Purify said he was surprised that he didn't get suspended for even more. He's just grateful that the punishment wasn't more severe. As part of his community service, he goes to a group home once a week and works with those kids. He said he's sorry that it's under these circumstances, but he's happy to do it.
Indeed, and he's been a help here tonight as Cody Glenn, the big back, 230 pounds from Rusk, Texas, twists his way to the first down at the 25.
It's been very intriguing to watch Nebraska battle back here. Last year, Bill Callahan was torched by local media and by fans, saying he was too conservative last year with the way he called his game plan on the road at the Coliseum. Tonight, they're mixing it up and, in fact, attacking the USC defense and being aggressive by throwing the football.
And Kirk, Marlon Lucky back in the game, gets the inside handoff. And he is just shy of the 20-yard line on the 1st and 10. There's a spring to the Cornhuskers' offensive step. Now, they are matched against arguably either the best or the second best defense in the land, according to the experts.
The only chance you have to be able to sustain drives and move the ball against this USC defense, 10 starters returned from last year's group for the SC defense, is to mix things up and to keep them on their heels and keep them guessing a bit. And right now, that's what Bill Callahan has done.
Ellis is matched against Byford. Keller gets time. Another slant pattern to the 11-yard line. Nate Swift, the junior from Minnesota. Twist for this time. Another first down, and the chains move. You've got to be impressed with number 9, folks. Sam Keller is calmly moving the ball against this D.
Sam Keller is in rhythm. That's an important word tonight for both quarterbacks. Get back and get the ball out. It's very, very difficult to get pressure on Keller because by the time he hits that 5th step, the ball is out. And right now he is in great sync with his wide receivers, and they're attacking the SC corners.
On this drive, the offensive line giving him time. Here's Lucky trying to slash, kind of tripped as he tried to break free. Kyle Moore, the junior from Georgia, coming over behind him.
Well, it's a lot of fun to watch this offense of Bill Callahan's. He brought the offense from the Oakland Raiders. Think about the type of personnel he inherited, option personnel. It's taken a few years to get the quarterbacks and the receivers and the running backs, and more importantly, longer offensive linemen. But now you're starting to see, after 3rd and 4th year, starting to see his kind of players.
Swift is to the left of the formation. Keller goes back to Nunn inside the 5-yard line. And there's the first reception by the senior Terrence Nunn of Houston, Texas.
But the other thing that right now Sam Keller is doing is he's doing a great job of reading the defenses. He's not predetermining where he wants to go with the football. He's simply reading the defense, reacting, finding the open man, and taking the 7-yard gain and the 8-yard gain. Great job of using his eyes.
10 of 14, Keller is. That was Nunn, 1 catch now for 8 yards. 3rd down and short. Lucky's the running back. Keller's going to throw over the top, high off Nunn's hands, and incomplete. Here comes 4th down. Decision time for Callahan. He can get a first down without scoring a touchdown. He's down 7 right now. Does he take the 3? Keller's going over to the side. An NFL coach would take the 3 and go on about his business.
You're right. There it is.
Here they come. Get on the board. Callahan has to be happy with number 9 so far now. Alex Henry, redshirt freshman. Jake Wesh is the holder. This is big now for the Huskers to get on. There's a penalty flag. They take too much time prior to the snap. If that's against the Trojans, that's a first down, folks. That crowd in that end zone is applauding. Yes, indeed. That's exactly what it is.
Disconcerting defense, number 58.
I think he said disconcerting. Is that right?
Yes.
Malawaluga was doing a rumba out there in the middle on somebody, folks. Little verbal tattoo, and Pete Carroll said, "What are you talking about? You can't do that to me."
Malawaluga probably taking some of the fun that he has on the practice field into the real game and trying to make that Nebraska offensive line flinch and move by yelling out different signals and different verbiage to try to get them to flinch and get the penalty, and it backfired on him. You don't see that called very often.
Now, from the 4, they're going to get half the distance, so we're going to see some measuring going on here, folks. It's not an automatic first down now. They're going to have to bring the chains out. Malawaluga, he wants a little bit of an explanation. You can hardly blame number 58 down there. So they go half the distance. Bill Callahan going to watch this measurement, and so are you, folks. Here come the chains. This is big. First down is the rule by the nose of that football. I was kind of like you. I thought maybe they missed it by that much, Kirk.
Think about this whole drive, how many inches that this drive came down to, and they get it by a centimeter on an infraction by SC on a field goal attempt. And Nebraska, trying to stay in this game, gets another opportunity with a fresh set of downs.
Glenn is the running back. Phillips is set up in front of him for a power run. Tifa Teller over to the right. They'll run Glenn that direction, and he is jumped on that time. Number 41, Thomas Williams.
They like to bring Cody Glenn in as a power back. He's been battling through some injuries, and he's healthy enough to go tonight. When you see number 34 in there, or even number 19, the true freshman Castile, they're looking to run between the tackles and lower their shoulder and go back to old school Nebraska football.
And that would be Keller right straight ahead if it's really old school. Where's Tommy Frazier? Said he's handing it off. Got a touchdown. Cody Glenn, the junior from Rusk, Texas. Mike Keller is happy for his son in that offense. They got a huge break on that penalty, though.
Right? Any way you can take it when you're playing USC. Any way you can get it. We talked about at the outset of the broadcast, Nebraska has to have some things go their way early to keep this crowd in the game.
We got red balloons flying all over the place.
We got a couple.
Kirk, talk about how important it is when you're down 7 to the number 1 team to come back and tie the score.
Especially, Brent, the way they did it. USC was pinned inside their own 5-yard line. 4 plays, they went right down and scored. Nebraska struggled, and all of a sudden Sam Keller found his rhythm and got Nebraska going in the right direction.
Here's your touchdown. Malawaluga couldn't stand him up. They were pushing him back on that pile. Now you watch 58 here, folks. Rivers gets run out. 58 at the point of attack is right there, along with Ellison, the safety. That was old-fashioned muscle.
Old-fashioned Nebraska football and a confidence builder for this football team. When you play USC and you're at home, can't say it enough. You've got to keep the crowd and the momentum to your side and your advantage.
Here's my favorite kickoff man coming out. Adi Kanalik. He is a redshirt freshman from Fort Worth, Texas. And, folks, he has put half of his kickoffs so far into the end zone for touchbacks. Now, remember now they're kicking off in the 30-yard line here. And looks like we might have ourselves something here, partner. I thought maybe we were looking at about 51-3 on that first drive.
What's going on here?
It's that right there.
There you go.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Boy, you're right, though. What a big sequence of events. And Sam Keller has been probably thinking about this night from the day he transferred from Arizona State to Nebraska, and he found his rhythm, which makes Nebraska all of a sudden a very, very dangerous offense.
And now it's the Trojans' turn. Fielded at the 3 by Vincent Joseph. Short of the 20-yard line. And guess who's back? The crowd. You look down on this gorgeous scene here at Memorial Stadium. Aerial coverage provided to you by Goodyear for precision and performance. Get there on Goodyear Innovation. Goodyear will be revving up at Loudon tomorrow, folks. 1 p.m. Eastern on ABC. First race of the chase. When you hit one of those NFL commercials, come on over.
I'll be with you, bud. I'll be with you.
That's what we want. Chauncey Washington is on the field now for the Trojans. John David had plenty of time, and he goes to the sideline, and David Osbury, who caught 5 passes against Idaho, he's a redshirt freshman. Let's talk about the receivers. They lost so much last year when a couple of the fellas moved on to Sunday football.
Well, I think they lost probably the most productive wide receiver combo in the history of this school with Dwayne Jarrett and Steve Smith, and now they're relying on some young receivers. Patrick Turner, number 1, is back tonight, but they lost a boatload from those 2 young men.
Turner is number 1. He was in motion that time. Now he'll catch his first ball of the night, slips the tackle, cuts back to the inside, and that's what he brings to the attack. A 1st and 10. Dear Green, converted running back, finally making this up. But that is the man that John David Booty needs back in the lineup. Let's go back to this graphic here, Kurt.
If you're talking about 6,000 yards over their career between Dwayne Jarrett and Steve Smith, Turner's had a little bit of a slow start, but now he's become the go-to guy for John David Booty. But other than that, it's a very inexperienced group. A lot of talent, but at this point, it's inexperience. It reminds me a lot of 2005 when they lost Mike Williams and Kerry Colbert, and they had to break in a new group. I think this group eventually will become an outstanding group, but they're just young coming into this game.
That's the right guard from USC who is down. Rachel, number 66, and he received medical attention, so he will have to come off. And Zach Heber, number 74, John David took the time to go over and check what they wanted done here this time. They got a 1st and 10 on that pass now to Turner. John David Booty is 3 of 5 on the night. And that, of course, was Turner's first catch for 11 yards. And now John David lines him back up at the 35-yard line, and here we go. Up the middle, and again, they're bringing that end-around motion. And if you go back to a week ago, Nebraska fans know where I'm going. Wake Forest burned them repeatedly on the outside flanks with that motion, and USC showing some of that.
Well, I think USC wants to do that. In talking to Steve Sarkisian, they think that they can get to the outside and stretch this Nebraska defense horizontally, and not only run the bootlegs, but also try to run the football back underneath them.
Well, ESPN Saturday Night Football, presented by Southwest Airlines, will return with the second quarter after this message and a word from our ABC stations. So many great matchups here tonight. For example, the defensive line, number 93, Ndamukong Suh. The nose man matched against the first freshman, true freshman, to start at center ever for USC, Christopher O'Dowd. A fine, fine young player from Arizona, but a young man with his hands full here tonight. 93 gets down on the nose, and there's another freshman on the field for USC, folks. Joe McKnight, number 4. He's on for his first play, got the swing, dropped. Incomplete pass. The freshman from Louisiana. And Kirk, take a look at the Pacific Life game summary for me.
Well, it's been a little bit of everything. If you're just joining us, USC jumped out and were pinned deep in their own territory and went the length of the field in about 4 plays. It looked like they had control of the game. They took the crown out of the game, but give Nebraska a lot of credit. Bill Callahan was criticized in the way he attacked USC last year. This year at home with the quarterback at Sam Keller, he is aggressive and going after the USC defense, and that's why Nebraska's been able to even it up.
Desmond Reed in the backfield. John David throws a perfect strike there for the first down. Far side reception by Osbury. David Osbury here tonight. He's from Lemoore, California. Will Ferrell, familiar side at USC games down there.
I can't help. I just look at Will Ferrell and I laugh. He's just one of those guys, you know.
Think of him on ice skates.
Yeah, exactly.
Washington. Play fake to him, and John David's got a lot of time to go deep down the middle. Incomplete. So he probed deep that time, but Murillo, number 5. Now, the one thing we want to point out about this secondary, Kirk, this is a much tougher secondary for Nebraska than last year when we were in the Coliseum in Los Angeles.
Well, last year, that was really the Achilles heel and the weakness in 2006. And Dwayne Jarrett, John David Booty, they exposed him in that area. This year, with Zach Bowman coming back, they're much deeper now. That's something that Kevin Cosgrove, the defensive coordinator, wanted to try to address. And that's something they're a lot more confident about coming into tonight's game.
He's one of those guys nervous about signals because of the Belichick fine. Washington on the twist, and Nebraska will give him no more than a yard. On that sideline shot of Kevin Cosgrove, you may have seen a late signal. That's what he intends to do all game long, as late as possible. So no one upstairs or down on the field can pick up an indicator or a signal that he has. What they'd all rather have, of course, is the electronic device. And won't the NFL go to that next year? Is there any reason why defensive coaches can't talk to the man calling the signals like they do the quarterbacks? Come on, you can afford it. 3rd down now and 9 for the Trojans. Booty again with time, and it dropped. Incomplete is the call as Patrick Turner. It would have been a sensational grab by the junior.
It would have been a tough catch for Turner to make, but what I'm seeing all of a sudden is, isn't it amazing when a team's offense generates some momentum that it affects the defense, and the way the black shirts now are moving around and getting USC into a 3rd and long where it's much tougher to execute. That time on that series, Nebraska's defense was flying around with confidence.
They have to get the 12th man off the field, and there's the penalty flag. They do not get him off in time. Penalty flag comes flying. Wojtek was back in punt formation.
False start, offense, number 58. 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
Hallelujah. Affecting the special teams. That's the 2nd time he's had a mental error.
Grigsby back deep. He's standing. The Husker 15-yard line. Wojtek inside the 30. We're deadlocked at 7 here in Lincoln. There's another penalty, folks. Line judge threw it. Grigsby taken down at the 23. That was pretty dangerous when he didn't call for that fair catch on that play. And we'll let this Big 12 crew sort this out here. There he is with Rivers. Pete Carroll, of course, who pays particular attention to the defense. That's the side of the ball he grew up on in the National Football League. Head coach of the Jets and the Patriots.
No foul on the play.
First and 10 for the Cornhuskers as the yellow is picked up.
Touching on that NFL background for Pete Carroll and looking at Bill Callahan and having that same NFL background, it makes it a lot of fun. It's kind of a little chess match we have going on back and forth tonight.
Yep. Well, we'll pay some bills and then we'll come right back.
Sounds good.
I'm Matt Weiner in New York with this check of your primetime pulse. USC, Nebraska on ABC. Arkansas and Alabama tied lead by 11. And on ESPN2, Boston College, Georgia Tech, big ACC game. Eagles on top 14-0.
A lot of great games going on. Here it's 7-all USC and Nebraska. Sam Keller off to a very positive start. As 1st and 10 now for the Cornhuskers. And they're going to throw on 1st down. Receiver got him in on the underneath. I mean, I thought for a second there, Kirk, that he was going to go long on that.
I was with you. I saw Nate Swift break away from coverage. But, you know, when you're Sam Keller and you're running for your dear life, sometimes it's tough to see that guy. Exactly. But he did break away. You and I were seeing the same thing. It's a lot easier up here, isn't it?
Yeah, Sean Hill makes the catch. He's one of the H-back tight ends for the Cornhuskers.
But a little thing like that by Sam Keller, who's really his last 13 throws, he's completed 9 passes. A little thing like that on 1st and 10 instead of just throwing it away. He's a nice job here picking up 7 yards.
Now, I said to Coach Callahan, he's got a little bit of an unusual motion, and there's a bad start on that play. I said a little bit of an unusual motion, but he said, don't be fooled. He can zip that ball.
And we've seen that tonight.
False start. Offense. Number 76. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
I think having him under center tonight for Bill Callahan and the experience that he had in 2005 when he was up 21-3 at home against USC, only to have the 4 interceptions in the second half and to eventually lose 38-28 will really help him keep his composure and not let this thing get a little bit bigger than it needs to be.
Sean Watson, who works on the offense along with Coach Callahan, said they didn't slow down with Keller. They threw everything at him, and he has picked up on it, he said, remarkably well. So they got everything in the tank for this one. Kind of a confusing looking play. Gets it to Hardy on the outside, and Hardy cannot do anything. This will be 3rd and long, and that play was kind of ugly. Ellison is right there defensively. Let's go down below now to Lisa.
And Brent, you were talking about the transition that Sam Keller had to make from ASU here. You can see that after every play, he gets the play call from Bill Callahan on the sideline, and Bill Callahan's offense is not easy. You remember Sam Keller gave us an example yesterday of a play call. Weak right slot, B right stop, 382, Y stick, looking keel, 358, lying on freeze. What is that? He says he hears it, he repeats it to the guys in the huddle, and then he tries to visualize it on a chalkboard.
I'm glad you can remember at least. Callahan underneath for the 1st and 10. That man was wide open to the 39-yard line, and he is now working his H-backs into space, Kirk. And there's the 2nd catch for Sean.
Oh, this is very, very important when you have, they're going to have 15.
1st down.
They're going to have 15 yards for a penalty there at the end against USC off the back into the play. But when you're trying to attack this group of linebackers, it's tough to find windows. What a good job of clearing out the linebackers. They actually went vertical, and it opened it up underneath for a nice gain there by Erickson. Here's the penalty.
Let me correct myself. I said it was Sean. It was 26. Dan Erickson, the senior from Omaha. And isn't Keller moving this offense? And now the 15 tacked on. And Kirk, they've got that ball in Trojan territory again. Erickson stays on the field to the right. Quick hitch to Purify, and Purify picks up a quick 5 on a soft corner that time.
Brent, there are a lot of coaches who believe when you see this, there might be a run play, but if you see a soft corner like this, simply take the snap and take 5 yards every single time. You can get rid of the ball. The lineman might think it's a run play called, but the experience and the veteran leadership of Sam Keller that time gets rid of the ball, and now it's 2nd and 2.
Our eye, Lucky, going to follow the fullback, and it is blown up that time by number 49, Cedric Ellis. If there's a better nose man around, that young Dorsey down there now, LSU, those two fellas are something.
Well, he is so powerful. Anytime you talk about Glenn Dorsey and Cedric Ellis, you always have to use not only the power and the strength, but that explosiveness, the ability to get through a gap and penetrate and disrupt a running play, and that's exactly what Cedric Ellis did right there.
Keller and the Cornhuskers need 8 yards to move the chains on this one. Hit on the release, got it off in time. A gutty throw to Swift under pressure. Keller knew he was going to take a lick. A 19-yard gain, and that's as gutty a throw as you'll see.
Cody Glenn doesn't do a good job of picking up the blitz coming from the outside from Terrell Thomas off to the right. He whiffs and misses. Thomas gets in high to Keller, and what a great job by Sam Keller. He knows that Thomas is coming. Still, look at that blow to the head. That could have been 15 yards very easily. Gets the ball off, and I'm telling you, Sam Keller is feeling it.
He's looking good, and here comes Lucky. Right side, just short of the 20-yard line. Ellis is on the outside helping out on that play this time.
You start to really pull for Sam Keller when you learn more about his background. Lisa's talked about it. You and I have talked about it. Let's not forget that this Nebraska offense lost Zach Taylor, who was the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year a year ago. So not only the pressure to come up and try to play great after leaving Arizona State, but filling the shoes of Zach Taylor as well.
Lucky's his running back. To the middle, and there was a safety blitz on that time. Keller and Ellis exchanging a little trash talk over there on that side. Keller tonight has been something.
Sam Keller has really gotten the team back into this football game. When the game didn't start off well, he's come back. He has really been in sync, and the timing with the receivers, he has spread the ball all over the field, and there's the toughness, and that's why his teammates have really fallen in love with his leadership. He's an in-your-face type of guy, a different guy than who he was when he was at Arizona State, and his teammates really respond to him because of that toughness.
He's been 50% on third downs. That's picking that stat up. It was woeful against Wake Forest. And on the snap, timeout has been called, perhaps by the sideline of Nebraska. That leaves Callahan and the Huskers with one timeout. 9:41 left here in the first half. USC and Nebraska deadlocked at 7.
Saturday Night Football on ABC, presented by Southwest Airlines. With Southwest Airlines' convenient nonstop flights, it's like having your own company plane. Visit southwest.com. Aflac, ask about it at work. And Cadillac, introducing the all-new 2008 Cadillac CTS.
Great weight facility here at Nebraska. Kirk, this is a huge 3rd and 5. What would you do?
3rd and 5, trying to get the ball over the middle if you can.
Instead, they're going to run the delay and not get it.
For an offensive coach in Bill Callahan, who's been so aggressive, that time I think he tried to take advantage of the aggressiveness that he's called the game. Maybe try to catch Pete Carroll off guard. Nothing else. It gets the ball a little bit closer to the middle and gives them a chance to get 3 points and take the lead, which will keep this crowd and keep this momentum in favor of Nebraska.
Alex Henry, the redshirt freshman, with a 37-yarder. Behind the goalpost, here it comes. Going to bring it right in on you. Nebraska leads for the first time tonight. One of the rare times they've been a huge underdog in Lincoln. They trailed by 7. 10 unanswered for Nebraska.
Matt Weiner back in New York. This Sports Center Minute is powered by Vizio. Tiger Woods shot a 64th at the Tour Championship, takes a 3-shot lead into the final round, final event of the FedEx Cup Championship. And Josh Beckett won his Major League leading 19th game, 7 innings of 1-run ball to beat the Yanks. Tomorrow you'll see Clemens and Schilling in the finale on ESPN.
And back here in Lincoln, the #1 team in the nation trails by a field goal in the second quarter against Nebraska. 9 minutes left. One thing to keep in mind about USC, folks, they have not been unbeatable on the road. They've lost 2 of their last 3 road games. Corvallis and the Rose Bowl. And here they are in Lincoln. Kanalik to the 5-yard line, and Joseph. Fumble! Trojans scoop it out. 35-40. They get a great break to the 45-yard line. The ball was picked up by Malcolm Smith, a linebacker on the return team, and he ran it to daylight.
Are you kidding me? I just can't believe that just happened. Nebraska gets another break that they want to try to capitalize on. The ball lays on the ground, and give credit to Malcolm Smith as a linebacker. Picks up the ball with the awareness and picks up some valuable yardage for the USC offense. And now they're in Nebraska territory.
John David Booty. And there's an injured player. The reason why there's a delay right now is that we have an injured Trojan. And it was Joseph, the return man, who I believe is still down here at about the 22-yard line. You know, it's this, we talked about the Trojans on the road. Not everything's perfect. They stayed up in Omaha, and they went out to a high school field to practice. So many folks showed up that they moved the practice facility to a baseball stadium. And then when they came into Lincoln, well, then there was fun time for Pete Carroll's bunch. But they ran through the script up in Omaha, and they were not pleased that some 200 people showed up at that facility. They thought they could slip in a little workout, go through the script, but when they got down here, it was loosey-goosey time.
Well, I was going to say it might have been serious the previous practice, but anytime Pete Carroll and the Trojans show up for a Friday walkthrough, I mean, I've never seen a team more loose and more relaxed. And not, you could say, well, hey, it's backfiring on them. It's just the way they always are. Whether they win, they end up winning by 40, or they end up being in a tight game like this. Pete Carroll allows his players to be relaxed on Friday. It's a philosophy that he's used. The guy's 59-6 in the last 5 years. It works, and it's very genuine, which I think is very rare to find in today's game.
Hovely, who was a power in their 96-yard drive, as you see Vincent still being tended to down here on the field. And well, we've got more. Let's check in with Matt in New York. Let's get an update, Matt.
All right, Brent, let's take this opportunity to offer up our vote for the Pontiac game-changing performance of the day. Texas leading by just 5 at Central Florida when Jamal Charles emerges from the pack. It goes 46 yards down the sideline. He finished with 155 on the day, and the Horns survived. To vote for your Pontiac game-changing performance, just go to ESPN.com.
George O'Leary giving a scare to the Longhorns, huh, partner?
What a way to break in their new stadium. Texas sleepwalking there a little bit.
So you've got Central Florida, you got South Florida becoming a force down there. Miami and Florida State might be running 2-3 in that state anymore.
Well, all I know is we know who's number one.
Yeah, sure.
Watching the Florida Gators today, and I know we just saw LSU, but all of a sudden I'm sitting there thinking, forget about the debate between LSU and USC. Oklahoma's dominating people, and the Florida Gators today with Tim Tebow, I cannot wait to see what happens with LSU and Florida early in October when they get together down in Baton Rouge. That could be one of the best games of the year. And that same weekend, Oklahoma plays Texas in Dallas. So there's some great games that are coming up, but the Gators put on a performance today.
Well, let me check this Sports Nation poll out. Which team should be ranked number one? Now, in fairness, USC was idle and LSU was really impressive. I don't have an argument with that. The thing to remember about all of the rankings and the BCS and everything, you just want to be sitting 1 or 2. That's what you want. You do not want to be number 3. You don't want to be Oklahoma and Florida. Remember, Florida was chasing the dream last year, and then these Trojans were upset by the UCLA Bruins.
And you were there to see that. And that's what, even tonight, that's what makes college football so unique. And they're still looking over their player to make sure he's okay. But that's what makes it so special is you play the games. It's not decided on paper.
So we will take a break as they continue to tend to young Vincent, and we certainly hope that he's going to be okay. They're taking a lot of precautions down there.
The Big Bird in Philadelphia, grounded much of last season, has returned. Donovan McNabb tries to get the Eagles to 500. Clinton Portis leads the Redskins, who try to get to 2-0. Washington and Philadelphia at 8:30 Eastern on ESPN's Monday Night Football.
There's a couple of great ones there. You can see Marcus Allen, Ronnie Lott wearing that jacket with number 12. A couple of Hall of Fame legends from the University of Southern California, one of the best safeties we ever watched play on Sunday. And here, Nebraska leading USC 10-7. They are still tending to the injured player down here at the Let's take another look at this, Kirk.
Well, once he loses the ball, there's a heck of a collision right there towards the end on this lower part of his body. And that's what they've been looking at while they've been down there.
Let's check in with Lisa down below. Lisa?
Well, Brent, it's really tough to see what area they are working on him. You can see for yourself that he's moving his arms and his legs, and he has been talking to the training staff all along. It appears from my vantage point that they're working on an area under his chin, but I can't tell if it's his throat area or if it's in the collarbone area, but it's definitely under his chin, right in his neck area somewhere that he seems to be having the problem. But he is alert and talking to everyone.
Well, they're going to bring a little stretcher out for him now, and he's from Long Beach, California. Young man played at Poly High School. Youngster. He's only a sophomore. You know, when I see this, I think about young Everett of the Buffalo Bills. You know, it's one of those things where you just happen to watch live by accident. I was just happened to watch the play, and you saw him put his head down when he came into the tackle, and you held your breath, and it was such a sad story for about 24 hours. Then we got word that there was movement after the surgery and some of the procedures, and I know that the medical staffs, they take all precaution, and that's what they're doing right here with this young man.
Well, I think you always have to, and you know, we did a game last week, and sometimes this happens, and as a player, you know, it's a difficult transition emotionally because your heart goes out for a teammate, but at the same time, you've got to put that behind you as you see him carted off at times, and you got to go back to work. And you know, I think that's part of your job as a football player. When you get on the field, you realize that that's a potential risk.
Yeah, you know, Kirk, there was so many stories developing. I guess none bigger than this one before it started, Notre Dame and Michigan. But then it was so one-sided. I mean, I cannot believe Notre Dame this year 0-3. They do not have an offensive touchdown yet.
Well, they don't have an offensive touchdown. And that top line, I think, tells you everything. 33 rushes for -6 yards. That is amazing. And Michigan looked to you know, find their confidence. Mike Hart was running with a lot of authority, and you know, all of a sudden Michigan wins the game against Notre Dame. They've got Penn State, who I think is the team to beat in the Big Ten, coming into the Big House next week, in which should be a very interesting game all of a sudden.
Lloyd Carr has been able to handle Joe Paterno and Penn State. I think the
94 was the last time.
That was the first year they came into the league.
Yep.
That team that went all the way to the Rose Bowl, remember? And since then, Lloyd has been dominant in that particular series, but this is a very good Penn State team.
Absolutely. Great defense. I'm just, you know, for Notre Dame, you're sitting at 0-3, and you're thinking about Michigan State right now with Mark D'Antonio. They're getting better and better. They won again today, and Purdue's coming up, and USC's coming up, and UCLA's coming up.
Boston College
is coming. I mean, there are some very, very tough games coming up.
And then there was another one down the SEC, and Kirk, you already referred to Florida. I mean, putting 59 up on Tennessee. Incidentally, that ovation you hear in the background is for the young man who's been put up on the structure, and so he will be taken off, and I'm sure that they will check with him in a hospital facility here in Lincoln. And
Pete Carroll is right there, right above him, above that stretcher, for giving him some words of encouragement. Makes his way back to the sideline. But the Tennessee-Florida game, I did touch on Florida. Tim Tebow, we're starting to see what the offense will look like with Tim Tebow. How about Tennessee, a team that we had in Cal, sitting at 1-2? A very tough time for Philip Fulmer and the Volunteers.
Yeah, we wish the young man nothing but the best. If we get a report before the game ends, we will certainly pass it along.
You can see his right thumb come up, kind of waving to his teammates.
Always a good sign, isn't it? So here we go. First down and 10. Now remember, there was a fumbled kickoff scooped up by a linebacker on the kickoff return team. He made it to the Cornhusker 45-yard line. So it's John David Booty the senior quarterback. He came in a Heisman Trophy candidate, if not the leader, and he'll try to drive the Trojans to a go-ahead score here if he can. Gable is his running back. Turner's off to his right. Gable with a hole in the middle, breaks free, and he is stopped at the 30-yard line. Zach Potter back defensively, but that's a 15-yard gain.
This is a zone play where the line is going to just stretch this defense. Gable is going to come back and then look for a seam. Very, very common play that's run in college and also in the pro level. And it takes it back with great vision and great patience. And C.J. Gable that time stretched it to the outside, found the crease, and got right through it for a big gain.
Dale Thompson and Brad Walker on the field for the Trojans in this set. Fullback in, toss play. Gable looking daylight again. And he's inside the 20-yard line. That's another 1st and 10 for the Trojans.
Oh, this is Steve Sarkisian saying, you know what, we're on the road. We've been a little bit cute with the passing game. Let's get back to basics. This is old student body left here by USC. Gable gets around the corner. Some great blocking. And again, Stanley Havili, the big fullback who's been all over the field with a great lead block for Gable.
And a boy named Sue caught him from behind, number 93. 1st down and 10, though, for the Trojans. On a cutback block, here is Stephon Johnson. Johnson gives him a burst, and it'll be 1st down and goal.
Now they're stretching out the Nebraska defense, and this time they come right back to the inside. And if you're the safety, Larry Asante, you've got to make that play. He's a physical safety. He's right in the hole, right there to make the play. But what great instinct that time by Johnson to elude him and get upfield to pick up a big gain again for the Trojans.
Johnson stays on the field. Number 13 will take the toss. In behind the block. Can he cut it in? No. And he is down at the 2-yard line, where it will be 2nd down and goal. Zach Potter there again. He's been very active defensively.
We've seen Gable tonight. We've seen Chauncey Washington. We've seen Joe McKnight. When I talk to the SC coaches, they say Stephon Johnson is probably our most natural ball carrier. He's not quite up to par when it comes to pass protection and catching the ball in the backfield, but when it comes to simply running the football, number 13 is their guy.
Still on. Havili's the fullback, set right in front of him. Havili straight ahead for a touchdown. They go to the up back, and he busts into the end zone. So he's caught a touchdown pass, and now he's rushed for one. And the youngster from Salt Lake is a real force for the offense here tonight.
Can't say it enough. Stanley Havili, the fullback, a high school tailback, comes in as a freshman. And USC doesn't run the spread offense. They're more traditional, kind of the West Coast offense. They like to spread you out, but they like to keep that fullback in there. He's the most important player to the offense.
David Beeler. And they do not have 11 men on the field. So the right back over there fills out. And the clock was running, right? And so we've got a timeout.
Offense, it's 5 yards.
No, they let it go. They'll just take the 5. And that was the special teams not getting their full complement on the field. And now they do get the young man who was supposed to be there. Fred Davis is over there on the right side. So he's the young man who apparently forgot to get on the field. And here's Beeler for the extra point. And that's right down O Street down here in Lincoln, folks. And let's check in with Lisa.
Brent, you know that just days after their Rose Bowl victory, the USC family was devastated when the body of Mario Donelli, the team's kicker, was found at the bottom of a cliff near his home. Police don't really know what happened, but they believe it was an accident, that he slipped and fell. Still, it hit the USC family very, very hard. Players say they were just absolutely devastated. And when they scored their first touchdown against Idaho a couple of weeks ago, the kicking unit came out without a field goal kicker, and that was because Pete Carroll wanted it that way. That was his tribute to Mario Donello. I talked to several players on the Trojans team, and they said they had no idea that it was going to happen, and they were quite moved when they realized what was happening. They said it was just a beautiful gesture by Pete Carroll to honor their fallen teammate. Brent?
And Lisa, that stunning death came about 8 days, as I recall, after the Rose Bowl, and everyone who was there was so shaken by it. The young man had kicked very, very well against Michigan, and just one of those things, and it hit a lot of people. He was very, very popular, and where he grew up, Southern California, and of course with Pete Carroll and the staff, and it was a nice gesture by the Trojans in their first game. Beeler, who has stepped in this year as their kicker, has the ball on the tee. Jones and Grigsby are back. And USC, for the second time tonight, goes ahead. This time 14-10, and we've still got 6:50 left in the first half. Long injury delay, of course. Fielded at the 2-yard line by Grigsby, the defensive back. Grigsby looking daylight, 20, slashes back to the 29-yard line, and a little pushing and shoving, but they're separated, and now it is time for our Aflac trivia question. When was the last time Nebraska beat a top 10 team? USC comes in here tonight ranked #1. So when was the last time that they were able to handle one of the big fellas?
It's kind of a, you think about Nebraska football, was the last time they beat a top 10 team. You're thinking last year, maybe the year before that. They've been trying to get this Nebraska program with Bill Callahan up to the level, and they're trying to capitalize on an opportunity tonight to show that Bill Callahan is bringing Nebraska football to the level that they expect.
Marlon Lucky. Rivers wraps him up at the 30-yard line, number 55. Well, Keller for a while was really in throwing rhythm, and you wonder when they're going to get back to that.
I think they're going to have to, and I think it's all about the play calling, and you don't want to just throw every single time, but I think it's about balance. It's about mixing things up, which Bill Callahan has done a wonderful job of here in the first half. It's very rare to see USC's defense on their heels, but Nebraska there for a while, we saw them control the tempo of things, and that's where they're trying to get back.
Purify is off to the right, and they come back with Lucky again, and Rivers comes over to the other side, and again he's in on another play defensively over there, along with Cedric Ellis.
Balance is very important. Breaking tendencies is very important. Can't say it enough. Last year they had 36 runs against USC when they were out at the Coliseum, and only 17 pass attempts. And of the 20 first downs, 18 of the times they went on first down, they ran the football. Tonight, it's a whole different story in the way they're attacking this defense.
Hurry up was the call from the coach. Empty backfield on third down. Keller on a short drop, incomplete. He was under pressure that time, trying to hit Sean Hill.
We keep talking about him, but it's worth mentioning that when you can get pressure without having to blitz, this is the way you get the defense off the field. Look at Cedric Ellis just bull rush Byford, the center, and by the time the quarterback Keller hit his last step to get rid of the ball, Ellis was right in his face.
Byford's a senior.
He was on his back there.
Now Alabama, Desmond Reed is back deep again. Titchener hangs one high. There's the fair catch signal at the 27-yard line. So Kirk mentioned that this program trying to jump back into the national title picture. So when was the last time that they beat a top 10 team? Well, we were here, folks. The BCS rankings had just come out. Oklahoma was ranked #1 in the BCS, #2 in the polls, and Mike Solich and the Cornhuskers jumped him 20-10. Used a trick play to get it done. First down and 10. I think Boise State was taking notes that night and remembered that trickeration can do it against Coach Bob Stoops. First down and 10. John David off a play fake, throws sideline, incomplete. It'll be second down and 10. So let's go back to the play that night. Now Mike Stuntz, one-time high school quarterback, was coming around. Eric Crouch on the end around, had a man wide open and hit him.
About their only positive play all day for Nebraska's offense, but it was good enough for a score and a pretty low-scoring game here in Lincoln, but a big, big win for the Huskers.
There was a fine play by Bowman defensively. Second down. Here is the handoff. Spin move by Johnson. And just bulls close to that first down marker. And
Brent Johnson last year, they had so many talented true freshman running backs that came in. C.J. Gable, you had Alan Bradford, and all of a sudden you had Emmanuel Moody back there. But the guy that was lost in the shuffle was Stephon Johnson. They said he just didn't know how to compete. He didn't know how to give it that extra gear in practice, which is so important to USC's program. Now the lights come on, and he's a much different guy, and he's competing, and that's why he's on the field.
Third down and short. Try Johnson again, got the first down. Octavian brings him down at the 41-yard line. We get word that Bowman may have pulled a hamstring, and we'll check in with New York.
All right, Brent, let's get a SportsCenter in-game from Lexington, where the question of red state or blue state is very much up in the air tonight. After an Andre Woodson touchdown pass, gave Kentucky the lead. Trent Guy goes 100 yards on the kickoff to tie a school record and put the Cardinals back on top, 28-26 for now.
A dandy, the Battle of the Commonwealth down there. First down and 10. Johnson stays in. Booty under pressure, flicks it off, and that pass is complete to Hazelton. Near the conclusion of the game, we'll select a Chevrolet player of the game from each team, and Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each University's General Scholarship Fund.
Booty that time looking at his first receiver, primary receiver, looks for the second receiver, his third receiver, everybody covered, but instead of panicking, comes over to his right, is able to just dump the ball off and not end up losing yardage or making a huge mistake. But good coverage again by Nebraska.
Havili, the fullback, in front of Johnson as they settle in on these two backs. Here comes Johnson, got a big gaping hole, runs to daylight, 35. Brought down around the 25-yard line. The Trojans threatening again, a 32-yard run.
Brent, they have been showing this look quite a bit with motion. They've been running bootlegs and nakeds off of this. The motion that goes this way allows the defense, you're going to see, they're going to start to flow this way, and it gives them a hole to come back and run the football. But look at all the motion. See, he's been faking that ball and coming around the corner for a lot of play-action passes. The defense has to respect that. That's why big running lane, not only from the offensive line, but the secondary is confused on the backside.
Cosgrove's defense needs a stop here. Pump fake from John David. Got time. Back to the left side. And complete to the 20-yard line that time. And so Kevin Cosgrove's defense is under fire here. Here is the defensive coordinator. Worked for Barry Alvarez up in Wisconsin before moving down here to join Coach Callahan's staff.
It's the football coach right there. He loves to put a defense together and go out there and compete. As you touched on, did it for so many years at Wisconsin and now doing a great job here in Lincoln.
Late signal, the personnel from USC were on the field. He's having trouble with Havili, the fullback. Havili is set right in front of Johnson. Here's Johnson, big hole in the middle. And Kirk, they found something here with Stephon Johnson. He looks to be the best back that we have seen in a while.
Well, Christopher O'Dowd, a true freshman center, came into this game, and we all wondered how he would handle this. But right now, he's playing very, very well. Jeff Byers opening up a hole, pushing it down. Rachel comes around the guard. Brent, I think we could have handed the ball off to you on that one, my man. You could have picked up 6 or 7 yards. That was a huge hole.
6 or 7 inches, maybe. They're at the 12-yard line, first down and 10. Johnson stays on the field with Havili. Sue is doubled, complete to the 7-yard line. John David Booty snaps it off.
You know, in this world that we live in with the spread offenses and 4 and 5 receivers and empty backfields, I got to tell you, it's so refreshing to watch this offense that Steve Sarkisian is in charge of for this USC offense. We've been seeing it. A lot of times it's 2 backs, it's 2 receivers. It's very conventional offenses, but you know what? They still get 4 and 5 wide receivers out on almost every single play. To be able to do that, it puts a heavy priority on the fullback and the tight end to be great athletes.
Turner is slotted to the right. They come back, big hole, touchdown. He walks in. They sent motion. The middle opened up. Christopher O'Dowd, the center, you pointed it out, along with Rachel and Byers, the guards. And look at this hole.
You've got a true freshman, ladies and gentlemen, playing center, number 61, O'Dowd, and he's playing a great first half. First time he's been on the road, playing a great game, and Jeff Byers opened up another huge hole for this USC offense. Stephon Johnson likes those holes, doesn't he?
He sure does. And Beeler tacks on the extra point. It is 21-10. So USC went out 7-0. Nebraska with 10 unanswered. Made it a 10-7 game, and since then 2 quick touchdowns. As you look down here at our aerial coverage being provided to you by Goodyear for precision and performance. Get there on Goodyear innovation. So just when it appears, Kirk, that the Cornhuskers are going to give all of this USC talent nothing but trouble here tonight, here come the Trojans. Bang, 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 and they found a running back tonight at number 13.
Well, he's one of a bunch, and right now he's got the momentum. I can't say it enough. The last 5 years, you go back to 2002, and Carson Palmer got things started, handed it off to Matt Leinart, John David Booty, the poise that they play with when they're challenged and they feel threatened. They don't get nervous, they don't panic, they maintain their poise, and they come right back down the field. Nebraska, you know, one of their strengths that we thought is their ability to stop the run. But the last couple drives, we've seen USC be pretty simple, just going to run the football right at you.
Are they going to send another Heisman Trophy to Los Angeles?
Can you imagine that? You know how the Heisman Trophy goes. It's not necessarily to the most talented player, but to the MVP a lot of times on the best team. He's got a great shot.
He really does. He's the cover boy, and you can go back. Carson Palmer, Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush. They've all won it under Pete Carroll.
That'd be 4 in 7 years if Booty ends up winning a Heisman this year.
Fielded on the 5-yard line. Brixby. He is wrestled down at the 26-yard line. And, of course, reminder that coming up on the Bud Light halftime report, John, Craig, and Doug, they have highlights from all the top teams now, including the 2 other games which pitted ranked opponents against each other. Tennessee, Florida, Boston College, Georgia Tech. And so that'll be good to hear what the fellas have to say about Michigan. And another injured player down here for the Trojans being tended to. Blocking it back against Nebraska on the kickoff return. So they'll penalize the Cornhuskers, and another member of the special teams knocked down. Let's take a look here.
Big hit there. I don't know if that was the player that ended up getting knocked down.
And let us break away here and get an update from New York.
All right, Brent, let's get an update on Arkansas and Alabama in particular. The Hogs spotted the Tide at 21-0 lead, but out of the Wildcat formation, it's Darren McFadden for the touchdown. He has 174 yards on the ground and a couple of scores already. It's 31 all.
Speaking of the Heisman, and so McFadden certainly one of the leaders. Would you agree with that, Kirk?
Yes, sir. I think his team will prevent him from winning it. I think he's the most talented player in college football. But if his team goes 7-5, he's not going to win the Heisman Trophy.
$21-10 is our count in Lincoln. Gable over there chatting with the coach.
Goes back a little bit Brent, to the fear that some of the coaches had with backing the kickoff up 5 yards. They were concerned about the collisions on the kickoffs, and we've seen that a couple times tonight. I know you've talked with some coaches as well.
There was a live shot of the soccer field outside of this complex, and they're watching on the video board. Very, very difficult ticket to get here, and it was jammed tonight in anticipation of the #1 team in the nation coming in. And let's go back and talk now about Stephon Johnson. Okay, he's only a sophomore from Bellflower, California, number 13. He picked his daylight beautifully, and the middle of that offensive line just created gaping holes for him.
I think he's the beneficiary of that offensive line and some great play calling where USC started to take control up front. And, you know, he's again, another one of these great stories where you hear so many people saying, who's the next guy who's going to be disgruntled at USC? How can they keep them all happy? And yet, somehow, some way, they all have their own unique ability to fit into the offense.
You know, we saw the soccer field over there, which reminds me of some of the other sports in Nebraska. For example, the women's volleyball team won the NCAA championship last year. They are unbeaten. And tonight, they're out in Lubbock, Texas, playing Texas Tech. So it's not just a football program here in Lincoln. I mean, these lady Cornhuskers now, they can play a little volleyball, let me tell you that. Undefeated, coming off a national championship a year ago. And there's also a baseball program that has turned out some fine players through the years. You might have heard of a young man by the name of Jabba Chamberlain, who's getting it done for the New York Yankees right now. And the young man is sitting up right now. And let's again check in with Matt. Matt, what do you got for us?
Well, actually, he meant to send it to John Saunders, Craig James, and Doug Flutie. We just want to remind you we're coming up at halftime. A lot of surprises today and things that stuck out to us.
Well, I think the Irish, we were all watching the Michigan-Notre Dame game trying to figure out who had what. And when you look at the Irish, they now have scored 13 points on the season. 0 offensive touchdowns this year by Charlie Weiss's offense. Nobody ever thought that would happen. A very inept offensive production.
Well, I was pretty interested to see how Florida took it to them today, and I'm trying to think of who they beat, but
Tennessee.
Tennessee, thank you so much. But they took it to Tennessee today, and they look like the #1 team in the country potentially.
We will talk about that and more when we come back. Brent, back to you.
Hey, thanks, gang. John, I'm sorry. I thought we were going for another highlight play, Arkansas, Alabama. Incidentally, folks, that young man, Alfred Rowe, came off the field, and here's a big series for Marlon Lucky and the Cornhuskers. But the one thing that sort of puzzles me here, and that is the Cornhuskers got away from that passing game, and I thought they had it rolling.
Well, they did have it rolling. They had some great, not only momentum, but great rhythm. And I think that's what they're going to have to revisit at this point. Under a minute to go, one timeout, deep in their own territory. They're just going to simply run this clock out at this point.
There's a holding call. There comes a yellow hanky.
If you're Bill Callahan and you're going in to talk to this team at halftime, you've got to talk about, guys, we can't become predictable because we're down going into the second half, but we've got to become the aggressor again on offense and really take it to this defense.
Excuse me, but isn't he calling the plays?
Yeah, he's got to do it.
Talk to himself.
There you go. There you go. He also might want to talk to Kaz about that defensive line getting.
See, this strikes me. This strikes me of just playing into the Trojans' hands, because you know what's going on here. He doesn't want to give him a quick 6 or a field goal or something like that in this situation. Man, I'm flaming out. Purify, get the open. And it's declined, and Pete Carroll says, just give me another shot if you're going to try to run this out. I'm going to see if I can get it back. 3rd down.
Pete Carroll's calling timeout. He's calling a timeout.
Timeout right here before the 3rd down. You bet. Pete says, if you're going to sit on it, I'm going to wait and see if I can get a punt and see what I can do here. Come on, guys, let's get another one down there. 56 years old today, and you've never seen a coach with any more enthusiasm than that fellow. You look out there and you think he's one of the managers playing catch with everybody. So he is, since coming, they really hired, Mike Garrett really hired the right guy for the right job, and a lot of folks didn't think so at the time. Now it's easy to say what a great hire, but I know there were people who say, oh, how could you do this? And there he is, 84% wins, 5 straight shared or outright Pac-10 titles, 2 national championships. Of course, 2003 was an AP. Remember, LSU won the BCS. Those 3 Heisman Trophy winners we talked about. So here we go. 3rd down coming up now. Keller is going to put it in the air, and this is incomplete. And Pete Carroll and the Trojans are going to get it back.
By using that timeout, he put the ball into the hands of Bill Callahan and said, okay, you're going to try to go for this and try to throw the football, take the risk of having an incompletion and stopping the clock, and I could save my last timeout. Or you're going to run the ball, make me use my last timeout. Now there's 36 seconds. Nebraska punting from their own end zone, and Pete Carroll saved a timeout by utilizing that timeout on 2nd down.
So it is up to Titchener. And Nebraska's gone 3 and out on their last 2 drives. Desmond Reed will try to give them field position. He's standing just on the other side of midfield. Penalty flag is down. Reed surrounded and down at the 43, but there is a penalty.
SC came after it, and they roughed the punter. Pete's probably thinking, what the heck, take the chance?
Why not? They can't go the distance on me right now.
Yeah, and more than likely Nebraska will still try to run the clock out. Titchener, I think, did a nice job of, and he might take a little theater class here at Nebraska. I don't know.
He's a good punter now.
I know he's a great punter, but I think he might have been a little active.
You think he's a better actor than punter, right?
I mean, I don't know if he was roughed. He might have been run into. He got touched. You know, he got touched by a guy in the back.
Clearly, young man. You played quarterback and didn't
think
punt.
he was roughed?
You got to protect those guys.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Protect the kickers. Protect the punters. I see it.
Out to the 28. Keller dashes back onto the field now. 25 seconds left here. Steps away. Going to go deep. Incomplete, and they want the penalty on that, and they're going to get it, right? That's Thomas. Terrell Thomas. He's a good corner now, and he was guilty over there on that far side, and good things happen on that.
Brent, they look at him as a lockdown corner. Surprising that Keller goes after him, but France Hardy had a step on him, got behind him. One-on-one coverage here. Hardy has tremendous speed. He's trying to get by him. First of all, Thomas gets away a little bit with a hand on the back there of Hardy.
It's possible it saved a touchdown.
Could have, yeah. And that's what you're taught as a defensive back, especially late and a half. Keller had a great drive last week to try to put points on the board against Wake.
Not nearly as penal as the National Football League. Deflected and incomplete. The big old rascal had a shot at it that time. Cedric Ellis. You got a paw in there, huh?
It's becoming pretty apparent that the only way to stop Cedric Ellis is to double team him. This time he comes around on a stunt. They were trying to double team him, but he simply came around, and that gives you an idea how quick he is for an interior lineman to come around and still have that speed to close in on Keller before he could get rid of the ball.
He'll be playing Sunday football.
There's no doubt about that.
Here's Marlon Lucky on a little bit of a delay, and very content to run this out now.
Nothing worse than being at home and being booed about your play calling, especially when the opponent scored a couple touchdowns late to jump up to a pretty substantial lead on you.
No timeout has been called, and Pete says, defense, come here. So Nebraska will use its final timeout with 2 seconds remaining, and here comes the prevent. Taylor Mays, the safety, is over there, and Pete saying, all right, everything underneath you now.
You were talking about the USC walkthrough, and right where the football is, right now on the left hash, they were having a contest between the players to see who could throw the ball through the end zone into the back of the end zone into the bleachers. And Pete Carroll got involved in it. He threw it I'll give him about 50 yards. He got almost into the end zone. But the guy who was the champion was the linebacker who surprised me, Thomas Williams. Threw it about 70 yards in the air.
He put his arm around Nick Holt in that picture you just saw. He was the defensive coordinator. In underneath. And there's the hook and ladder, baby. To the 35-yard line, and that will end the first half. Terrence Nunn was the ladder on that final play. Well, there we have it, but USC took control midway through that second quarter, and they'll take a 21-10 lead into the locker room at intermission. Let's go down to Lisa with the happy birthday kid.
Thanks, Brent. Well, Pete, you guys got off to a fast start, and then they put up 10 unanswered on you. What was going wrong during that period?
Well, we had some field position, a horrific mistake on mishandling that ball down there, and stuck the field position totally in their favor. We couldn't get out of it for a while. We finally did and got moving again.
Now, how'd you get your rhythm back?
Well, we actually ran the football pretty well. We decided let's go see if we can run the ball and get a little rhythm in that manner. We've been sitting around so long, we felt like we kind of got cold, so that's how we did it.
Now, it was good to see Alfred Rowe get up and smiling coming off, but it wasn't so good for Vincent Joseph. You were talking to him. What happened?
He got hit in the neck. Yeah, he got hit in the throat, and it affected his larynx some. That's what they said.
All right,
so
we'll
we
wish
think
the
it's
best.
okay. It's not a neck injury or any of that kind of stuff.
All right, that's good to hear, and happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
All right, Lisa, thank you very much. Now let me see if I can get this right. Let's go to John Simon, Craig James, Doug Flutie for the Bud Light halftime report. Take it away, Big John. The number one team in the nation. Down, they scored 14 unanswered. They're up 21-10. Little Husker weather closing in right now. See him huddled under that blanket, 53 degrees, dropping. Wind out of the south-southeast, 10-20 miles an hour. But I think the Trojans' running game is just heating them up down there the way they're going, Kirk. I want to tell you.
The last two times USC had the football, they did. They just went back to saying, we're going to get physical. We're down 10-7, and they've been able to run the football and just open up huge running lanes for Stephon Johnson. That really is what turned this thing around.
Yeah, they went right up the middle behind their freshman center, the two veteran guards over there, and 172 yards they rushed for up the middle.
Very impressive. And for an offensive line coach, I'm sure he feels good. Coach Rule, the big offensive line coach, the way SC took command there. But now it's second half. Nebraska gets the ball, and Sam Keller's got to find that rhythm that he had in the first half.
Well, Nebraska gets the ball to start because remember, Petey Carroll went on defense after Nebraska won the toss and deferred. Grigsby rolls off a hit, and he is down at the 28-yard line. Time now for our Southwest Airlines playbook as we take a look at the first half here, Kirk.
It started very early for USC with some success. They were pinned back inside their own 5-yard line. The fullback Havili got a big gain, and he's had a big night catching the ball, running the football. It looked like SC might pull away early, but Nebraska came back, as we talked about, with the lead. And then late in the first half, it was all about Stephon Johnson and the running of USC and getting their offense back to being physical.
Sam Keller, a bright spot for the Cornhuskers, 16-24 for 172 yards. Did not turn it over. Drops it off to Lucky on a little middle screen, and he's to the 33-yard line. In our Pacific Life game summary from that first half looks this way. We have already talked about the rushing numbers put up by the Trojans of USC. But consider Nebraska, only 26 rush yards, Kirk, and yet they passed for 172.
If you would think that USC might be up 21-10 on the road and John David Booty would have 43 yards passing, I'd be shocked. But they've been able to control the game on the ground.
Little flanker screen read beautifully by Kevin Ellison, number 4, the junior from Inglewood, California. He just jumped on that play.
But over the years, in these last 5 years of dominance by USC, this typically is what happens with Pete Carroll. He gets in at halftime. He has seen everything that the offense has to offer as far as formations, as far as play calling, makes the proper adjustments, and for the most part, they typically dominate in the second half, and that'll be something that Nebraska will have to try to overcome.
facing a third down. Nebraska was 4 of 10. They were stymied on third down in the second quarter. So here they are facing another one. Keller sidesteps away. Can he run for the first down? Going to drop it off. Complete. He's got his running back out of the backfield, Glenn. And that's a 1st and 10. And Keller was very aware that he probably could not run for it, and so he was able to drop it off before crossing the scrimmage line.
What he did a very good job there is baiting Maualuga and making him come off of the running back who he had in coverage, Cody Glenn. Once he baited him, right there he forces Rivers up and Maualuga, and Glenn's left all alone. And I'll tell you what happened on the back end of that is Rivers takes another big shot from the USC linebackers, and he gets back up and he's ready for the next play.
Snapping close to midfield, deflected in the air, intercepted on the deflection. Picked off by Terrell Thomas, the senior linebacker, number 28 on the deflected pass, the first turnover of the night.
Give Kyle Moore the assist here and Thomas the interception. Anytime a quarterback gets back quickly and you don't have time to put pressure, everybody knows you're taught to get your hands up. 84, Kyle Moore gets his hands up the way he's taught, and Terrell Thomas gets into the passing lane off the deflection. Big turn of events here for the Trojans.
Chauncey Washington will open at tailback. It won't be long before we'll see Stephon Johnson, who was the rushing star of the first half, 79 yards. But right now it'll be Washington.
Remember, they had a lot of success running the football, and usually that's where SC will come back a lot of times to go play action when you think they're going to run.
He's going to throw on first down. Turner bottles it incomplete. It'll be 2nd down and 10 on that play. So they came out and threw on first down.
See, that is vintage Steve Sarkisian when it comes to play calling. Everybody's thinking, boy, USC, they're really getting physical running the football. He's one step ahead of you when it comes to what he wants to call. He knows that Nebraska's thinking that they're going to roll up their sleeves, get physical, so he goes the other way and decides to throw in a little wrinkle there by play action pass on the first call. I like it, especially after the interception.
Number 13 is back in. He'll be the tailback. Osbury's the motion man, and here comes Stephon again. Same gaping hole, and he busts inside the 15-yard line. We can't say enough about O'Dodd, the freshman center, Rachel, the right guard, and Byers, the left guard. Just blowing holes open in the middle.
Great stuff again, Brent. The action goes this way, and it opens right up. Watch the secondary. Watch the linebackers. They get confused. They all go one way. The line pushes them to the left, and it's a nice big hole cut back there by Johnson. What great vision that Johnson has shown tonight.
Drew Radovich, who drew a start, jumping ahead of Charles Brown, was that right tackle, number 60. Throwing a key block too, and now suddenly the Trojans are back inside the 15-yard line. They'll flare it now to Johnson, who's surrounded and will lose yardage on this play as Bo Rude, number 51, is over on the stop.
Tough to run that into the boundary with a defense like Nebraska's, who had the personnel over in position. They just simply outflanked USC. They had 2 or 3 defenders waiting that time on Johnson in the short field.
Now his first catch of the night, but he lost 6 yards, so he's been much more effective running right up the middle. Number 13, setting him behind Booty here. That's Turner, number 1 in motion. Booty rockets out that way and underneath to his tight end. Davis rumbles inside the 5-yard line. Fred Davis, the senior from Toledo, Ohio. Steve Octavian tracks him down.
Same action. This time you're going to see them boot off of it. This is exactly what they've been having success running with. It's same exact look for the defense. They're thinking, uh-oh, here comes the run again, and he comes out to the outside and he's looking for his receivers, and this is called taking advantage of stretching a defense horizontally and keeping them guessing as to, are they running up the middle or are they going to the outside? That was the plan for SC, and it's working perfectly.
Play action. Booty rolls, throws for the DZ touchdown. Comes over to Anthony McCoy, number 86, a sophomore tight end from Fresno, California. And young Anthony. And the Trojans put up 3 unanswered touchdowns here on the Cornhuskers and start to pull away.
That, my friends, is textbook on how to attack this Nebraska defense. Great mixture there, but it was going back to the bootleg action. Sometimes they'd give it on the zone. Other times they'd pull it out and throw it to the backside off the naked.
Wheeler nails the extra point, and it is 28-10. The Trojans starting to show everybody why they're ranked number 1. This telecast available on ABC HD, presented by DLP HT DV. With Lisa Salters and Kirk Herbstreit, I'm Brent Musburger. Nice to have you along with us here on Saturday Night Football. And there you see the matchup of our 2 quarterbacks as John David Booty drives the Trojans down the field again, and they're in command right now. And next week on Saturday Night Football out west, you're going to be seeing Washington State at USC. And here in the Midwest, we'll check in on those Wisconsin Badgers. The Iowa Hawkeyes go in. Will there be a new order in the Big Ten? We're about to find out. Wheeler drives one back inside the goal line. Quixby is coming out. Breaks a tackle, but there's the kind of hit that you love to celebrate on your 56th birthday, right, Lisa? Well orchestrated by Lisa Salter. She got the Sun Girls together.
Very nice.
And a little birthday song for our guy down there.
Oh, life is good, isn't it, to be Pete Carroll, head coach at USC? Doesn't have the Ray-Bans on today. Night game. He's usually got the whole LA look going.
First down and 10. And Lucky is cut off at the pass and gives ground for about 4 yards. And Cedric Ellis, you know, we talked about it in the first half about Pete Carroll coming out, and
it's the Friday walkthrough.
No, this is how he gets ready before the game. This is the night before the game.
Oh boy, he's stretched out.
We've seen him at the the day before the game, but he came out now.
That was 55 yards.
Oh yeah,
that away. Stretched the wing out on Friday. Shows up on game day ready to throw it.
Second down at 14. Intercepted. The second pick. And out of bounds at the 1 yard line. Kyle Moore just snapped that one out of the air, and suddenly things are backing up for the Cornhuskers.
Well, this is a zone blitz. This is confusion. This is Pete Carroll. This is what he loves to do. He's going to bring a blitz here. He's going to bring a blitz here, and a defensive end is going to drop right into the passing lane, and Sam Keller never even sees him. The defensive lineman, you see it all over college football, off the end. Instead of rushing forward, he comes off, and the whole purpose is to get into the passing lane, which is exactly what Kyle Moore did. If you were playing a video game, you couldn't have drawn that up any more perfectly than Pete Carroll just called that up. Perfect timing by the Trojan defense.
Now let's see if they give Washington a chance to score. Will they throw on first down play action, first and goal? It's going to be Washington. 6 more, I believe, or did he break the play? No signal yet. No signal. Just shy of the goal line. Dillard in on that stop.
We all know what happens when you start to give up touchdowns, especially when things start to, you lose that momentum. It starts to become a battle psychologically as well. This could be 28 unanswered points that this Nebraska defense has given up.
Well, they miss Kirker, Moore. Both have moved on to the NFL. Great hit in the backfield, that time by number 40, Brandenburg, who is a linebacker, a very big star on special teams. He's a senior from Overland Park, Kansas, and that was a big hit by number 40.
Sure it was. He took a bit of a gamble there. He shot down. If there would have been anything to the outside, Nebraska would have conceded and given in and said, well, we're going to give up the touchdown. But Brandenburger shot down and made the play for this Nebraska defense. That was a big play.
Well, they've got the touchdown man, Avili. He's number 31, offset from the tailback. And Washington dives across the end zone. Touchdown, USC.
People could talk all they want about, well, they didn't pass the ball enough tonight. Where are those wide receivers? Where's the passing game? You know what? You're on the road in a tough environment. You're down 10-7. You have the ability to take a game over with your defense, and you're running the football down the throat of the Nebraska defense. I'm Pete Carroll. I'm fired up right now.
And here is really good news. Here's what the coach wanted to hear. Vincent Joseph is fine. He's moving, talking. The report from the hospital is bruised larynx. So it is indeed a happy birthday when you hear that that young man is fine, and obviously he'll return with the Trojans to Southern California after this game.
Saturday Night Football on ABC, presented by Southwest Airlines. With Southwest Airlines' convenient nonstop flights, it's like having your own company plane. Visit southwest.com. Hummer, like nothing else. And Pacific Life. For insurance, annuities, and investments, choose Pacific Life, the power to help you succeed.
The Cornhusker Marching Band entertained the sellout crowd at halftime. 285 members strong, with Tony Falcone, their fine band director. And now the Trojans, with Beeler putting the ball on the tee on the 30-yard line. Set to go again. Jones and Grigsby back. 35-10. 28 unanswered points by the #1 team in the country. Field 1 yard deep by Jones, and coming out. And he is stoned at the 24-yard line. And Matt, what's happening in that exciting Alabama-Arkansas game?
Great finish in Tuscaloosa. We told you Alabama got out to the big lead. Arkansas came back. Bama goes 73 yards the final 2 minutes. John Parker Wilson to Matt Goodell. 4th touchdown pass of the night. Bama wins it. So Florida State, Colorado now on ESPN. We'll keep an eye on what's happening in Kentucky in the meantime.
And Kentucky, Kirk, with a chance for an upset. You like the Wildcats.
I did. Andre Woodson against Brian Brown. What a matchup. And right now, Woodson has the upper hand.
Sam Keller now trying to get this offense back in rhythm. And Lucky is out to the 22-yard line. And this gives you an idea of how powerful this offensive line has become for the Trojans as the game moved on.
They have taken control of this football game up front. And, you know, the other thing that doesn't show up on that graphic is the way the defense has also been able to step up and I think disrupt the timing that Sam Keller had earlier in this game with his receivers. They're controlling the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, led by Cedric Ellis on the defensive side.
Cody Glenn is next to Keller here on 2nd down and long. Snatched. Nice grab, but a little bit short of a first down by Purify, and he gets back and makes a grab.
Well, coming into this game, one thing Nebraska had to do is keep the pressure off of Sam Keller. Give him time to throw, get him back, and so he could avoid making mistakes. He's turned the ball over a couple of times tonight with interceptions. Give SC all the credit in the world because they've been more physical up front, and when they haven't had time to get to him with a sack, they've gotten their hands up, and again, it's about disrupting the timing with Sam Keller and his group of receivers.
Led by Cedric Ellis, the nose man, 49, being doubled on this play. Incomplete. So it'll be 4th down and short. Sean Hill couldn't quite hang on.
When you get down 35-10 to any defense, let alone Cedric Ellis and the Trojan defense, and you become predictable. Boy, is it tough to stay out on the field for Bill Callahan and the Husker offense. They know what's coming.
Desmond Reed back deep to return this punt. Fair catch is signaled for at the 38-yard line. Well, let me see what my man, Mr. Herbstreit, has come up here with top 5. USC, LSU, no argument there. Oh, you jumped.
I moved Florida up just because I was. I was blown
nice
away
call from Morgantown, West Virginia. What happened to the Mountaineers?
I'm telling you, that's my. Of right now, that's my top 5, and I'm anxious to see.
And he votes, folks.
I do. So. I'm anxious to see all the people out there who moved LSU to 1 after seeing this display. Now what? Now what happened?
We'll jump it back.
Okay. All right. Now they're going to jump it back because this is on the road. It's a lot different to go on the road and be this impressive.
John David Booty's got all day. Fumble. Turner grabs it back, I believe.
And that's the whole reason I reserved judgment on flipping LSU and USC last week, is because I wanted to see USC challenged, and I think they've answered the bell tonight.
You know, folks, there's no way that it's fair the way they do this. We all know there should be like a 16-team playoff, but I'll be gosh darned if it isn't one of the more exciting things that I've ever been around. And I must say, it's part of it's luck. But every year we come down, we've got these great arguments. There's going to be upsets down the stretch.
Oh, there's no doubt.
It's amazing.
Every year it seems that teams that look like they're not going to lose always seem to find a way to lose.
There's Stephon bust free again. They have found their number 1 running back here tonight. Inside the 30 to the 28-yard line. 25 more yards here, Kirk.
25 more yards. The offensive line, I can't say it enough, led up front by a true freshman, Christopher O'Dowd. Nice job of controlling the line of scrimmage and the vision. You're going to see this more and more from Johnson. His ability to stretch it and then find the crease and hit it and pick up big yardage.
Now we know why Petey didn't want to change that center after the Idaho game. Said made some bad calls. Right. You know, he said physically he was fine. And the young man's out of Arizona. He was one of the top preps. Christopher O'Dowd. Here's a play fake, standing tall, complete to the 17-yard line. Havili. Boy, Havili is such a dangerous receiver. Go ahead.
Havili's, he is a very valuable commodity to this offense. I'm going to go back to O'Dowd because it's a very common thing that you see with USC is true freshmen playing for USC constantly. And I always ask him, how do you do that, especially at center? That's a complex position. They compete against one another, good against good, so hard in spring and summer. By the time they get into a game, the game almost slows down.
Yeah, Marwaluga, he'll work you out of the scrimmage now. He'd be happy to get in the pit against some of these fellas. First down and 10. Incomplete. And that might have been a pick 6 there. Bo was lurking back there on John David. Looks like they're trying to work on the passing game because, Coach said at halftime that was the weak part of this offense. They lost those 2 big fellas to Sunday football. They've got talent. Patrick Turner, certainly, the junior. Hazelton can move. Kirk, he's only a sophomore. Osbury's a redshirt freshman.
I think before it's all said and done, Ronald Johnson, I think, will emerge to become a go-to guy by the time they get ready for conference play. The true freshman out of Michigan. He's their future, I think, this year.
Washington cuts in zone, battles, and he's just short of it down at the 2-yard line. Speaking of freshmen, I know you watch young Ryan Mallett for the Wolverines, and I'm told that when he was at the Elite 11 camp, he's a big fella out of Texas, they nicknamed him Big Tex, and that's what the Wolverines. Well, Big Tex had himself a day for the Wolverines.
Well, Big Tex looked about as confident as you can look as a true freshman. I don't know if that was Notre Dame's defense that made him look that confident, or if that's just Ryan Mallett and the way he conducts himself when he's out in the field. But he did a nice job of leading Michigan to a big win today. How about Chauncey Washington comes in? I'll take a few carries, Coach. And get one into the end zone.
Battles. And he's down at the 1-yard line, so it'll be 2nd down and goal. And Steinkühler, we haven't called his name. Nice to see him back on the field. He's a junior from Lincoln.
You know, you mentioned Johnson emerging as their guy, and I think you're right. When he's the most natural ball carrier they have, but I still think you'll see Gable continue to be involved. Chauncey Washington's kind of their leader. What a great story he is after being academically ineligible in 04 and 05, has continued to fight back. He's dropped about 20 pounds this year for his senior year. So I think you're going to continue to see them all, but tonight there's no doubt Johnson has emerged.
Going to throw for it and deflected incomplete. Getting a paw, that's Barry Turner, the junior from Tennessee.
One-on-one coverage to the outside. It's a matchup that USC will try to capitalize on every time, and Turner did the only thing he could do, and that's quick. Again, the quick drop from the quarterback. You've got to get your hands up. Turner's been a pass specialist, pass rush specialist. Now he's playing every single down. He'll be a very important part of Nebraska's defensive front this year once they get to the Big 12.
Washington's your eye back. He's got it. Stretches. End zone. Touchdown USC. Strikes again. Well, on their last 5 possessions, if you're wondering why Kirk has them number 1, USC has scored 5 touchdowns here.
You know, I'm really anxious to see not only the running game, but wait till these young receivers get in sync with John David Booty and they become more balanced. Because teams are going to load up to take away the run. And that's going to play right into the hands of John David Booty.
Tack on the extra point. We got to have a little Saturday night soundtrack coming up from the Nebraska side with Barry Turner, Pierre Allen, and Chris Brooks, Brandon Johnson. We'll have that. A little musical relief. Next week there'll be less blocking. You know, we got to get rid of the singing, and we got to block and tackle.
Yeah, we do got to do that. That's a little bit more my speed right there.
I hear you, baby.
I like that.
I hear you.
I like that.
You know, one of the big fans of the Cornhuskers is a justice of the Supreme Court of the United States, Clarence Thomas, and we're going to be hearing from him with Lisa here right after this return by Andre Jones as he tries to find alley left. A little bit of a daylight. Cuts back, spins to the 31, and so Lisa's up in athletic director Steve Peters' box with the justice. Let's go to them now.
And Brent, it's not every day that you get to talk to a Supreme Court justice. Justice Thomas, thank you for joining me, first of all. But I got to ask you, how did you become such a big Nebraska fan? I know you didn't go to this university.
Well, my wife's from Omaha, and her family are very, very avid fans. In fact, her mother and father came to their first game over 70 years ago.
And it doesn't matter if they're home or on the road, because I understand you were at the game at Wake Forest last week. How many games do you go to?
Well, I don't go to that many away games, but Wake Forest was my first away game, and I'll go to as many as I can. And actually, I'd go to all the games if I had the time.
Now, we saw a very good first half. In your opinion, and your opinion is the one that counts, you are our Supreme Court justice, what seemed to be going wrong for the Cornhuskers in the second half?
Well, we made a few mistakes, but, you know, you're talking about the #1 team in the country also, and I think USC had a little bit to do with that, with all the talent and their excellent coaching. But I think we've got a good team, and we'll be back.
Now, I understand that you actually spoke to the team yesterday at their walkthrough. What did you tell the guys?
Well, my attitude is that you do the best you can, and we're rebuilding. They understand that, and they're doing their best, and I think we'll be okay in the future.
Now, I understand that you have compared game referees to what you do. How do you draw the comparison?
Well, I think you call a game as fairly as you can. You do your best, and remember, you're just a referee. You're not there to engage in other things.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you for coming up here.
All right. Back to you, Brent.
He looks good in red, Lisa. And we got a penalty now. Let's see what grounding. Was he in the end zone? Crowd speaking of a justice.
He was at the walkthrough yesterday for Nebraska on the field, and We had a chance to talk with him. I'll tell you, I was impressed with how big a fan he is of Nebraska. He was breaking down cover 2 and this. They got to do this. We got to do. You know, the great thing is he gets a chance to talk to the players quite a bit, not just about football, but about life. He really enjoys doing that.
I suppose certainly the best football player who was ever a justice of the Supreme Court was Whizzer White, who was a great player back in Colorado. And so Clarence Thomas watching the Big Red have their hands full and jumped into that neutral zone. That lineman did right there, and so that'll cost him right now. And reminder now, we're coming up on 11 o'clock in the East, so stay tuned for your local news immediately following
Offside.
the game.
Defensive tackle, contact, 5-yard penalty, second down.
And then over on ESPN, SportsCenter will have post-game analysis along with all the scores and highlights of the day. And there's some big stories. We were all wondering who's going to go 1-2, who's going to go 0-3, and the Wolverines prevailed today. And of course, will they set sail against the Big Ten title now? You've got to wonder about how strong the Big Ten is this year. I'm not so sure that they're elite, but go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I think the Big Ten has been an embarrassment up to this point. You saw Minnesota today lose to Florida Atlantic. With all due respect to...
They fired the coach?
Who?
Minnesota?
No.
The last time they got embarrassed, they fired the coach.
Oh, no.
My guy Mason got ripped.
No, we got news.
This guy stays, right? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Big loss today, but the Big Ten, I think it's wide open. Ohio State had an impressive win going out to Seattle, and I think the Huskies are going to be an interesting team to watch in the Pac-10 this year.
Made some mistakes late on the Buckeyes, didn't they? As an incomplete pass coming out of the end zone to Glenn. Yeah, we were talking about polls and bowls and all those things, and Stuart Mandel, a fine writer for SI.com and the magazine, has a new book out called Bowls, Polls, and Tattered Souls. Now let's see what the Justice of the Supreme Court has on this one. Just like any other fan right there, huh?
I'm telling you, he loves it.
Gosh darn it. Yeah. So that's it'll be a good read about the current state.
Oh yeah, I've heard about. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but he and I spent some time in New York together, and I know he's very proud of the time and the research that he put into that.
And we got the Battle of the Commonwealth going on. I see the Colorado and Florida State are still scoreless, but that Louisville, Kentucky game here underneath, first down. And Matt, what's going on between Kentucky and Louisville?
Pretty unbelievable, Brent. Great finishes back and forth. We showed you the Louisville touchdown to go up 34-33. They're in a prevent defense, but somehow didn't prevent Steve Johnson from getting behind them. And like a blue streak, he puts the Wildcats back on top with just seconds remaining in Lexington, 40-34.
Wow, what a contest that is, huh?
No cheering in the press box, right?
No, that's all right. I won't rat you out. First down and 10. Incomplete and deflected away beautifully that time by Mayaba. Kaluka. Good job, number 43. Kaluka Mayaba from Hawaii. He's a junior.
42-10, you might think, much like last week. I don't know what it is about you and I showing up to games, but you might think, what is there to learn from? What's the advantage at this point? It's so early in the season. You've got to get ready for conference play. You got to keep battling. You learn more and more about each other in these kind of situations.
Keller in trouble. Incomplete. And one of my spotters tonight, Brian Mobilson, reminds me that Louisville, Kentucky game was on ESPN Classic, and my question is, what did they know in advance?
Oh, good call. It's a toss-up to see which one will be the instant classic this week between Arkansas.
They've already had it.
Arkansas, yeah, they've already taken the airtime. Yeah. What a game. You knew going in that Brian Brom and Andre Woodson would be going back and forth.
Brom number one, or is Woodson number one of the two?
I think it's going to depend on their workouts and how they continue to play the rest of this year. But I know Todd McShay told us today that those are the top two. The way the NFL's looking right now, those are probably your top two quarterbacks.
Yeah, Todd does a good job too, tracking those fellas. And did he hang on to it? Yes, he did. at the 37-yard line, but not enough for a first down. Hardy, number 7. He came with Zach Taylor on the JC into Lincoln. And Mayaba doing another number down there. So number 43 is a backup. We go back to one of the key plays of this game. Hard to pick out one when it's 42-10, but when Malcolm Smith, the freshman linebacker, true freshman from Northridge, California, picked up that fumble on the kickoff when Nebraska was ahead. And now freshman Joe McKnight, they sent him in to return a punt. Here's the youngster from Louisiana, and apparently he didn't touch it. Well, now it's finally picked up by a Cornhusker, but the young man's got to learn, you know, raise your right hand and wave it.
Get out of there.
Either that or get away. And well, let's see. We got a show about 3 guys who aren't trying to reinvent the wheel. They already invented it, and that'd be Cavemen. Comedy that's about to make prehistory. A series premiere Tuesday, October 2nd, 8/7 Central, right here on ABC. Well, we've talked a little bit about the Big Ten, Kirk, and you know, next Saturday, you and I, is game day going to Madison too? You're going to be there with the show?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Maybe they don't tell you?
No, I'll find out. I'll find out maybe tomorrow.
Give you your traveling plans that late. Well, I know. Well, wherever you go, you better get there because we're going to do that game. All right, let's check in with Matt again for another update. Matt, what's going on, man?
Brent, the home folks are loving life in Lexington. Louisville got the ball back after that touchdown. Brian Brock, we have something else crazy in this game. It's deflected and winds up in the hands of Harry Douglas, but he is taken down well short of the goal line. Kentucky gets its first win against a top 10 team in 30 years.
Yeah, Coach Brooks, he's a good football man now.
How about Randy Sanders after leaving Knoxville somewhat with his tail between his legs the way the fans reacted? What a job he's done with Andre Woodson.
Great fake and a throw to Turner and a foot race. And Turner picks up about 5 yards. So some of Saturday's storylines, UCLA drilled by Utah, Arkansas, Alabama, and the $32 million man pulls one out down there. Upset for Kentucky, and then Michigan jumps all over the Irish.
Well, I think the story of all those games, you could talk about Nick Saban, the fact that they were playing Darren McFadden, they found a way to win a football game, but I think you have to go to Michigan. And for all the criticism that Lloyd Carr has been taking, 0-2, potentially getting booed again today. They went right after Notre Dame from the outset and won that football game in dominating fashion. And how about the Irish and Charlie Weiss now? 0-3
no
with
offensive touchdowns.
Well, they can't run the football. And you got a true freshman quarterback.
If they don't beat Michigan State, there is a chance that Notre Dame will go 0-8. A chance.
Yes, before they get to the academies.
Well, here we are, the first-year quarterbacks. Look at the stars of tomorrow that we've got up there, huh? Tebow of Florida, Taylor, Virginia Tech, Mallett at Michigan, Clausen, Notre Dame, he's a work in progress, and Bradford at Oklahoma.
I know that Mallett is the guy getting a lot of attention, but far right, Sam Bradford has blown me away with the way he played, not only today, but the entire year. And we all know already about Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow and the Gators offense might be the most electrifying, one of the most electrifying offenses in the nation.
Incomplete is the call, so that will bring up 4th down.
Did you get a chance to see the Gators at all today?
I just saw clips of it. I really did not. I did watch Michigan Notre Dame for a while.
Yeah, I was very interested to see if they would allow Tebow to run the same offense that they ran last year when he came in to be a change of pace, and they're still running that same thing with him.
And Terry Bowden dropped by. He's working on the radio, Kirk. And he said, hey, Grigsby didn't fair catch either, dancing. And down he goes at the 10-yard. He said Florida looks awesome with Tebow. Oh, he's the real deal.
I'm telling you, I've talked to defensive coordinators in the SEC, and they say if Tebow's going to run the ball the way he did last year, and he continues to prove that he can throw with the group of receivers that he has, they're almost unstoppable on that side of the ball. And that young defense, they're not looking very young the way they're playing right now. The Florida Gators are legit, and they're just reloading, and here they come again.
Now, I'll tell you where LSU has one edge on the team we're watching tonight. I honestly believe that USC has a tougher schedule because of what they've got to go through. They've got to play every team in the Pac-10, and they've got some tough games on the road coming up. For example, take a look at that road over there. They got through 14 tonight. Washington, Notre Dame, Oregon, California, Arizona State. I mean, that is not a soft schedule that they've got. And then, of course, they've got the assortment of games down the Coliseum. Round robin in a conference like that makes it very, very tough to run the table.
But I think that what they showed tonight is what they've shown over the last 5 or 6 years. They welcome the challenge, even though it's a big challenge on the road.
ESPN's Saturday Night Football, presented by Southwest Airlines, will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations. So we are back 42-10 as we start the fourth quarter. It will be Cornhusker football. Quarterback Sam Keller back in the gun. Coming out on their own 16-yard line. Under pressure, gets it off, incomplete. Receivers were covered. Well, here's a unique view, folks, from Memorial Stadium. Now take a look where they are down there. We swing outside of their suite. You just don't see any of these. Right down there in the corner. You know what? They've got a great view of a wonderful board at the other end of the stadium. You talk about a replay board or high definition in a stadium. That's as good as it gets. And from that end zone, there they are. They get to see the replays and they got the stats.
Little food?
Yeah. Third down. Keller. He was short of the first down. Nice catch going out of bounds. Is that Nunn over there who made that stop? Terrence Nunn, or made the catch.
That's a ball that if you're gonna try to make that throw, you got to throw it on time to give your receiver a chance to get his feet down. And I'm not so sure. I mean, Nunn makes the catch here, but does the ball hit the ground there? Quite sure he had possession, but doesn't matter. They're going to punt anyway.
Kirk, because of the sacks, Nebraska's rushing stat has actually declined. 6 yards is all they have rushing against USC's 278 yards. Won't get it done.
No. And to think when this game was 10-7 back in the first half, boy, Nebraska was sitting right where they wanted to be. Had the crowd in the game, making big plays, running and throwing the football, really throwing the ball with Sam Keller. And then USC just flipped a switch on both sides of the ball.
Now, you'd be, let me see. First of all, you'd be concerned about a fake if you were USC here. Fourth down and inches. Titchener on the field. I think the crowd at 42-10, they want him to go here.
That's why they're up in the stands, and Coach Callahan's down on the sidelines, down 42-10 at your own 24 against USC's defense. Probably best to punt.
Well, I'd do that, and they do just that. Here's Reed, fair catch at the 40. So we'll take a break. 14:42 remaining in Lincoln. Number one gonna stay number one, folks. This game being broadcast on ABC HD, presented by DLP HD TV. As you look down on our sold-out scene, 284th consecutive sellout in Lincoln, and there you see the difference in our running stars. Stephon Johnson, he has 124 yards, folks, and he's only carried the ball 10 times. That's over 12 yards a carry for number 13 for the Trojans here tonight. And that's where they found most of their yards. There's the freshman McKnight. And let us take a look at the Pacific Life game summary. A lot of stars. Havili, number 31, barging into the end zone. They scored 4 times. There's Johnson, number 13. And then they pick off, and that gave them a first and goal from the 1-yard line, and they bang in any way you want.
They've done just about everything they want to do with the defense, getting the ball back. David Booty, and the offensive line, you talked about Johnson, but it's really been about the offensive line of USC just dominating that new front four in Nebraska.
There's the swing, spin by the freshman, fumble picked up by the Cornhuskers to the 33-yard line. McEwen, Corey McEwen, number 13, picking up the McKnight fumble.
This is the concern you have when you put a true freshman out there. They're so anxious to get the ball in the hands of McKnight to see what he can do. He's kind of the scat back, most highly rated high school prospect last year. When he did not go to LSU, ended up coming to USC. This time, looks up, probably lost his focus on the football, and you can almost feel Steve Sarkisian just wanting to get McKnight out on the field to try to spring him to see if he can make a big play, and that time it backfired.
Well, let's see if Keller and the Cornhuskers can do anything with the turnover. Drop it off now to Glenn. 3 Trojans. Smack him down at the 26-yard line. Mayava, who's again all over the field. He's making the most of it. He backs up Keith Rivers at that linebacker spot, and so the senior from Hawaii.
This USC defense just keeps coming, and I think it's their passion for the game. They love the game a lot like their head coach, and they just continue to fly around, but at least Nebraska picked up some yardage.
On the slant, pushed out of bounds inside the 15-yard line. Cody Glenn, the junior from Rusk, Texas. That's a 12-yard gain on that play.
And that was the first time in a long time we've seen Nebraska's offensive line create a bit of a crease in the USC defensive line. Some nice valuable room there for Glenn to cut into.
Here comes Glenn, and he is hauled down from the backside. Mayava's all over the place. Number 43. I mean, and we're talking about second and third stringers out there on the field for Pete Carroll. Now, if you did talk about depth on this,
but Pete Carroll and the intensity that he has and that he demands. I don't care if it's a walk-on out there, and I don't care if it's 42-10 or 7-3. You better play with the same intensity and the same attitude, no matter who's out on the field. And I think every coach demands that. Every coach wants that. But I think you really see that from USC every single time we go out there and we watch them play football.
Here's Keller backing up and complete to the 5, but that's short of the first down.
They're going to say it hit the carpet before he was able to secure it.
Somebody had a good view of it down there then, and they ruled it incomplete, and that was the reaction of the crowd. I think Callahan thought it was complete.
Yeah, I think the crowd looked up on the screen, and they thought it was a catch, too. Can't quite tell from that angle. Get a better look here. It lays out, and
I'd say it's incomplete.
Yeah, I think the ball, once it left his hands, it bounced off the turf. Going to call timeout to check it out.
So we'll have
Nebraska.
a replay. They want a timeout to make sure that replay takes a look at it. That's what coach is waiting for. I think he's got the confirmation now from the field. So we'll be right back. Well, you look down on our scene, and we do have a coach's challenge as to whether or not Nunn caught this ball. I don't know if there's evidence enough to overturn it and say that it was complete, because right there on that view, it looks like between the legs it hit the artificial surface here. But Kirk, what's your view?
I saw the ball leave his hands there, but he does a good job of bringing it back up. But then once his momentum of his body comes up with the back area, that's where we really can't tell if his head underneath the football and secured it, or if it hit the turf.
Play was challenged by Nebraska. Confirmed. Ball was dropped.
Confirmed.
I would have said there was no indisputable evidence that I could say it was caught.
Right.
I mean, especially here in Lincoln. I kept the crowd a little quiet on that one.
He just kind of stuck it to him. The ball was dropped, boys.
Third down.
There's nothing you can do about it.
Now the linesman says USC's calling a timeout here. Petey have the wrong personnel out there. 42-10. We'll step aside. Folks, we still got 12 and a half minutes to go.
Yeah.
We're going to see a lot of Pete Carroll's troops here.
IBM presents the 25 greatest players ever. Number 25, Ernie Nevers. Ernie Nevers was an All-American at Stanford University and played in the 1925 Rose Bowl. Stanford coach Pop Warner called Nevers the football player without a fault. IBM, getting it done.
Went on to a great career in the National Football League. Also, as you look down now to 3rd and 11 as we begin our countdown to number 1, complete. Just short of the end zone, down at the 1-yard line. That is a 1st and 10, and there is Purify.
Purify early in the game was the go-to target for Sam Keller. We haven't called his name here for a while because Nebraska hasn't had much to talk about, but he was hurting Terrell Thomas and the USC corners to the outside in the first half, and that time comes right over the middle to the area that's usually vacated by the linebackers there for a big game.
Brian Cushing, the injured linebacker, checks in just in time on that play as Nebraska bucks in for a touchdown. Cody Glenn, number 34. Well, there's many of the loyal fan base here. They haven't left.
Nope.
These are some of the most loyal fans in the world, and they're not headed for the exits. We got 12 minutes to go, and they want to see if there's a miracle at hand here tonight.
They still believe, don't they?
Alex Henry, redshirt freshman from Omaha, tacks on the extra point. A little bit of life for the Cornhuskers yet. We'll take a break.
Saturday Night Football on ABC, presented by Southwest Airlines. With Southwest Airlines' convenient nonstop flights, it's like having your own company plane. Visit southwest.com. Liberty Mutual Coach of the Year. Vote now at coachoftheyear.com. The Nissan Titan, proud presenter of the 2007 Heisman. And Avodart.
Folks on O Street here in Lincoln, Nebraska, and the Trojans, meanwhile, expected they might see an onside kick. They pulled 9 up, but they do leave 2 return men back here at Memorial Stadium. Here comes Henry. They're going to take it deep. Fielded at the 1-yard line. And out to the 28 is C.J. Gable returning, and we've got a penalty flag thrown on that play. So Gable, one of the tailbacks, out to return.
Blocking the back, number 33 during the return. Be a 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
Now let's quickly check in with Matt in New York. Matt.
All right, Brent, here's a nominee for the AT&T ESPN All-America Player of the Week. You guys talked about him. Florida's Tim Tebow. More than 360 yards in total offense. Ran a couple of touchdowns. Threw a couple more. They throttled Tennessee. Text VOTE to 87654 on your AT&T wireless phone to cast your vote.
I love Tim Tebow and what he has to offer now that he's in command of that offense. What a great leader, too, for the Gators.
Petey Carroll starting to clear the bench. Alan Bradford, a sophomore from San Bernardino, California. And here is your ESPNU All-State Standings review. USC, of course, well on the way. LSU, another shutout. They've given up 1 touchdown in 3 games. Oklahoma has been rolling. Now, Kirk drops the number 14 and moves up.
Well, I've had Penn State. I've had Penn State up there for quite some time at number 5, but I do move Florida. Oklahoma and Florida, they look so good. I was just really impressed with the Gators and what they did against a pretty good Tennessee team today.
incomplete. And so it'll go to 3rd and long. And, of course, those are the Associated Press rankings, which in a very short time will become the most irrelevant ratings around when the BCS rankings come out. And we start moving toward New Orleans. It's going to be very, very interesting because the cream is starting to rise.
Well, you look at USC, you look at LSU, you look at Florida, you look at Oklahoma. West Virginia is a team you mentioned. If Penn State's able to get by Michigan next week, they've got all the big boys at home. All of a sudden, you're going to start to see some marquee games that are going to really affect the BCS long term. And they're coming up here in the next few weeks. There's some big games coming up.
Got a whistle prior to the snap. Yeah. That's a timeout. And so the drop down look at our timeout graphics here with 11:16.
Is that clock going forward or backwards?
You know, it was interesting you said in commercial that there should be a rule maybe in the Big 12 that when the spread gets this great, you just keep the clock running.
I think the arena clock should take effect. And I think the arena clock, they just keep cranking.
Oh, yeah, just keep going.
Once the
score becomes something, let's just run the clock.
You just keep going. Mercy. It was at 12 minutes like a half hour ago.
There we go. Stay tuned for your late local news. Well, we've got 3rd down and long coming up here. I can't get over how many loyal fans are hanging in here. I mean,
they want a turnover right here.
That's a testimony.
A turnover
to the Cornhuskers fan base. There we are, sprinting up the middle. A 1st down again. Is that Stephon Johnson? Yes, it is. Number 13. He's back in and adding to what he's already accomplished tonight. 20 more yards. So that's 11 carries for 144 yards. What a night he's having.
Yeah, he has had a huge night. USC's had a huge night running the football. Tierra Green, the safety from Nebraska, is down. And he was the last guy that tried to slow down the ball carrier there, Johnson. I don't know if his, he had a stinger that bothered him last week against Wake Forest. And he threw his shoulder in there to try to slow down Johnson. But Johnson, when you're averaging 13 yards a game, that's great running. That's great vision. That's, again, great offensive line play by USC.
Let's talk about some of those linemen, Kirk. The left tackle, Sam Baker. The senior, you mentioned the Arena League. His daddy's the commissioner.
Right. That's right.
And he's a big All-American tackle. Jeff Byers, the junior from Fort Collins, Colorado, left guard. Christopher O'Dowd, the freshman from Tucson. Then Rachel, the right guard. He's from Compton, California, junior. Drew Radovich drew a start. He's a senior from Mission Viejo. And Charles Brown is also along that offensive line. They deserve a whole lot of credit.
Absolutely.
Zach Heber is in there now, and he's a redshirt freshman from San Pedro. He's out of that offensive line.
We always talk about quarterbacks and running backs and the receivers. I love when the offensive line has a game like this. I think we got to focus on the way they're playing, and they're opening up big holes. They've done a sensational job of controlling that line.
This has got to be a huge disappointment for Kevin Cosgrove as to how the defensive front has played. What a strike. What a throw that was. Pitch and catch to David Osbury, the redshirt freshman. 21 more. A beautiful pass play.
Well, there's the timing that I think you're going to continue to see John David Booty develop with this young group of wide receivers. This time Osbury, he throws this ball well before Osbury comes out of his break. Ball is thrown right there to the outside shoulder, and Osbury just gets 1 foot down right there. What a throw. But that's going to continue to get better and better with these receivers with Booty.
Andre Jones is the corner on that play. There's a play fake. Standing tall and spinning back and making a grab at the 33-yard line. And there again, they're just playing pitch and catch, and that's Brad Walker.
But it looks like Steve Sarkisian has decided to say, guys, we've gotten to the point where we know it's 42-17. We're in the 4th quarter, but we've got to be able to still throw the football and keep them off of loading up to the line of scrimmage. And John David Booty all of a sudden getting an opportunity to have time to throw and showing what he can do when he does have that time.
This might be a little Heisman Trophy time here. Okay, John David Booty is in that race, and jumping back in Washington, number 23. Picked up Stefan that time. Brandenburg. Boy, they've got some weapons now. Havili.
That's the guy. I mean, I really believe that. Stanley Havili, the fullback, is the guy to watch as this offense develops and Booty gets more comfortable with his receivers. We know Johnston is a tailback, and Gable and Chauncey Washington.
I mean, they could stretch him out like they are here. Oh, John David trips, probably got tripped up by the lineman as he pulled out from under center. You got to remember that John David Booty, you're looking at a young man who did not play high school football as a senior. Graduated early, moved to Los Angeles, backed up Matt Leinart, was disappointed, but never let it show when Matt decided to come back for his senior year. Stepped in last year. His brother was a quarterback down at LSU. He has a little brother who's a little undersized, he was telling me at practice yesterday. And he's never seen him play high school football.
Yeah.
Going with his dad down at the school down Louisiana way. John David's a very, very nice fellow. And they're sticking with Washington.
Imagine having a little brother who's following in the footsteps of his older brothers, and here you are quarterbacking USC, a Heisman front runner, and you don't get a chance to get back to see him play. I'm sure that's very difficult for John David to deal with.
Well, the USC folks told me that part of it was the dedication of John David Booty to stay and work during the summer. Do you remember last week we met his good friend who's the running back, Hester, down at LSU? He was going to be a member of that wedding, and he didn't leave school. He stayed right there. And short drop wide open. That's a first down for the Trojans, and using the tight end, Fred Davis, the big senior from Toledo, Ohio, and it's fight on.
Here, this gives you an idea of the vision that the quarterback John David Booty has. Here's the blitz that'll be coming from the safety Asante. He's just going to throw a little hot here to the tight end Davis, who used to be a wide receiver incidentally. He aborts his drop, gets out of it, and finds nice area there where the safety was, and he finds his big tight end Freddie Davis.
So with the game safely in hand, they do a little work on the passing game, and now they get close. Washington will carry the ball. Our area of coverage tonight was provided to you by Goodyear. For precision and performance, get there on Goodyear Innovation. There'll be some Goodyears fired up at Loudon tomorrow up in New Hampshire, where the chase starts at 1 Eastern on ABC.
What is the chase?
The 12 highest finishing drivers coming into the last 10 races.
And it's all about points in the last 10 races.
Exactly.
So now we're starting from scratch?
No. Jimmy Johnson is seeded higher. He won 6 races. Okay. So he's seeded number 1. He has a point lead on Jeff Gordon. Complete. And swinging back out of the backfield. Fred Davis being very active as the tight end here. They're just coming right down the field with John David Booty now. He's 19 of 30 for 144 yards. He's thrown 2 touchdowns and no interceptions.
That package that they put on tonight that we've seen, they've run the football with a lot of success right up the middle, and then they've gone play action with the bootleg off of it going the other way, and they've had so much misdirection with motion and bringing receivers from the backside that it's just been wide open all night, whether they've run or whether they've thrown.
Now they bring it back down. Dives for the pylon. And touchdown, Bradford. So Alan Bradford, the sophomore, gets into the act. And watch this dive for the pylon here, folks.
Well, he's probably the most physical of their 9 backs.
I'd say.
He is. Alan Bradford is the most physical back that they have. Not like Lendale White there in his uniform, but he's able to push it to the outside. Actually gets around the corner Jones and showed a nice burst there for a 230-pounder.
David Beeler. USC comes into Lincoln And they've hung 49 on the Cornhuskers. Wow. Matt, what do you got going for us?
I've got a Sports Center Minute powered by Vizio. NASCAR's not the only ones into playoff time. At the FedEx Cup and Tour Championship, Tiger Woods shot a 64, gives him a 3-shot lead, almost certainly clinches the $10 million prize for the FedEx Cup. David Ortiz was 3 for 3 at a big 2-run double to blow it open in the 6th. Red Sox beat the Yanks 10-1. Clemens v. Schilling in the finale. You'll see it tomorrow night on ESPN.
Matt, I think that's at 8 Eastern, and there is a Nebraska fella on that team, Jabba Chamberlain.
Yeah.
And it's kind of an interesting story. His father, Marlon, for a long time has been one of the ushers here at Memorial Stadium. And his son transferred in here from another school, became a starting pitcher with the Cornhuskers, and there is Marlon right there. You can see, man, he's supporting the cause. There's no Harlan. Excuse me. I think I said Harlan, and he shows his true colors. Now, for years he was wearing that Nebraska red hat, but look at that. He says, and his son had one of the great moments of the year on the mound. All right, and as soon as we get this kickoff, I'm going to show you exactly what we mean. It occurred in a Yankee-Red Sox game, and you just had to kind of chuckle. I guess everybody chuckled except Youkilis, the Red Sox first baseman. We will show you Chamberlain. I don't think he's given up an earned run yet for the Yankees. He's been extremely effective. And so here he is in a Nebraska uniform. Hope he pitched that team into the College World Series in Omaha. And now here he is on the mound for Joe Torre. Taking down Pudge. Youkilis gets one over the head. He backs away and comes back with another one, and that's it. Get out of here. Now look at Jabba's reaction when he gets talked. I want to see this now. What, me? I won't do that.
You think Roger Clemens had anything to do with giving him that advice?
Mr. Chamberlain, you got a fine son, man. And that's the rubber match tomorrow night on ESPN at 8 o'clock. Red Sox and the Yankees. Certainly the greatest rivalry going in baseball right now these days. And hanging on, he took a pretty good lick, but kept on ticking, didn't he? Taylor Mays couldn't knock it loose. 21 yards. Just a tremendously impressive performance by USC. Complete team, as it was LSU, I should point out, last week. This defensive front, there's none getting into the action, and that'll be a 1st and 10. And Huskers move the chains here with 6 minutes to go.
Well, I think it's been impressive because of how they did it. LSU was at home last week, and they jumped on top of Virginia Tech, and they never looked back. It's a totally different set of circumstances for USC. Coming on the road and playing a traditional power like Nebraska, getting down 10-7. This stadium was rocking. They were going crazy. USC kept their cool the way they always do. Came right back. What was it, 28 unanswered points? They've dominated the game ever since. So I think while LSU and what they did at Virginia Tech was very inspiring, and I think everybody walked away from that thinking LSU's the real deal. I think those of us that wanted to hold judgment and see how good USC was, I think that was a smart decision after now seeing what they could do tonight on this field, on the road away from the Coliseum. They're the #1 team in the country.
It's been a long time since Nebraska's beaten a top 10 team now. Remember, you got to go back a few years to that win over Oklahoma. And if you look at their schedule, I don't make them a lock to win the Big 12 North. There were a lot of people who said, oh, no matter what happens here, I'm not so sure of that. And I want to take a look at the schedule because there's Lucky in underneath. That's short of a 1st down. But Nebraska's road schedule, look over there on the right. They go to Missouri, okay? Could be pivotal. They'll have their hands full down in Austin. We know that. Got to go into Colorado. Coach Hawkins might be putting it together. Iowa State, Oklahoma State, Texas A&M, Kansas State all come in here. So it's...
Well, the problem is if you lose to Missouri on the road, then you lose the tiebreaker. So now you're down a couple games. So that is a huge game in the Big 12 North.
And Peterson again. So Todd Peterson He's a graduate student at Grand Island. Last year, you might remember at the Coliseum, he caught that fake punt.
Yeah.
Coming out. Remember that game in the first half?
Absolutely.
It was the Huskers' big play down there. 5 minutes to go here. 49-17. Number one with a cushion. Now, you know, I mentioned Solich. And what was their offense like compared to Callahan?
This is going back here. This is when I used to actually dominate in the video game era. This is the, what was this, mid-90s, little Tommy Frazier to Lawrence Phillips, little pitch here. That's NCAA 96. You remember that one, for you gamers out there. And now, well, you look at the technology, how far we've come in about 10 years. This is Bill Callahan's offense. This is the West Coast offense now for Nebraska. Nice technology, throwing the ball around, recruiting different style of players.
That's a big change with EA Sports, isn't it?
That's right.
Complete. Peterson, end zone, bust touchdown. Todd Peterson brings him down the field, 20 yards for the score, and he caught 3 big passes on that drive against basically the second unit for the Trojans.
It's a matter of still fighting, trying to build some character in this Nebraska team, and they have not given up. They just continue to try to give it everything they have and get points up on the board. But you're right, Todd Peterson, big target. He's about 6'4", 210 pounds. Found a crease there and made a catch, and then showed a little toughness there to get into the end zone.
We go for 2. Teller back in the shotgun. Had great time and drills it in there. He drilled a strike for that one. That's Sean Hill. Lots of things change in life, don't they, folks? You never know what's coming up next. Bring down that wall. Down it came. Here's Andre Agassi changing an image in Cheston Timberlake. And in the Nebraska offense, who would have ever thought they'd come away from the Tom Osborne, Frank Solich attack? And
who would have ever thought that bringing Sexy back would be in the same graphic with the Nebraska offense? You know?
That is the truth, my friend. As we get ready to pack up the gear, thanks to our crew that did another fine job here tonight. Fellas will be moving on to other venues, and then we'll all get together in Madison. That'll be fun. Now, I'd love to go to Madison, Wisconsin for a game.
They always go crazy in Madison, and they're going to be taking on an Iowa team that got a little bit embarrassed today by Iowa State. It was a surprise of the last second field goal.
There's the onside kick, and ball is coming loose, but I think the Trojans quickly cover it up. So some of the main stories, of course, Michigan, after losing to Appalachian State and Oregon, they come away with a shutout victory over Notre Dame, and the Notre Dame defense still outscoring the offense, I think 7-6. Isn't that and the Irish are still looking for an offensive touchdown. It's got to be depressing.
Well, it's what you're seeing is 2 stories here. Michigan comes back for the 3rd straight week, and they get a win right before conference play. Big game with Penn State coming up. Then if you're Notre Dame, you're back to the drawing board again. You've got some tough games coming up, so it gets tougher and tougher as Mark Sanchez comes in for USC.
Sanchez, who is back from a broken thumb, handing off on first down. Mission Viejo, California, so we can bring down the book on John David Booty. The one point I want to make about Sanchez, you might recall that Mitch Mustaine transferred from Arkansas to Southern California, and he is unable to travel because he's a transfer and he can't play till next year. But Coach Holt told me that the one thing Mustaine did, he's running the scout team, is he gave him a terrific look during practice coming in here. He said that the youngster can really throw, and that they got big-time timing against him, and he praised him. And, of course, next year, you know how Pete Carroll is. Jobs are wide open, so Sanchez and Mustaine, that'll be an interesting duel.
It will, and I'll put my money on number 6. I think Mark Sanchez has got a great future for USC.
Now, this is going to be 3rd and long as there's John David's numbers for the night. 19 of 30, 144 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. They gave him a couple late drives of throwing the ball. And well, the one thing is they're still going to need, you know, Jarrett and Smith, the replacements have not been found yet. Let's tell that one. That's maybe a small negative because they got so much talent there. But
when you run the football for over 300 yards, you don't have to have a great night producing as far as the passing game. But you're right. I think everybody's going to want to see as time goes on, can Osbury and Turner and Hazelton and Ronald Johnson, can they be the receivers that they're used to having at SC?
They're not going to let Sanchez air it out. They're just handing off to Bradford and bring up 4th down. And Pete Carroll at 49-25. He's just content to let that clock keep on ticking now. Late local news immediately following the game over most of these ABC stations, and then on ESPN Sports Center we'll have all the highlights from all the games around the country. Eli Manning, big question about his injury. Will he be able to start? He's got a tough gene in him. When you think about Peyton and Archie, you're thinking about 2 guys who always saddled up, showed up, and played. I mean, Pops took some beating down there with New Orleans Saints in that era, and Peyton, I don't remember the last time he missed a game for the Colts. Do you?
No, I can't remember.
4th down, and then of course on Monday night we've got the Eagles and the Cowboys on ESPN. So, tomorrow, folks, I'll tell you one thing you're going to see. Every producer director covering an NFL game is going to lock in on the defensive coordinators and the hand signals. I mean, you're going to see some signals tomorrow around the NFL and that Belichick story. And of course, they've got a huge one coming up against the Chargers. Wade Neck, the punter, drops one down inside. Kicking game also looks solid. You know, what else is new with these guys?
New year.
Good football team.
Same results.
When you think about it, when you think about USC, that is a couple of games away from being 4-time national champions coming in. Now stick with me on this. If they find a way to stop Vince Young, that's number 3. If they find a way to beat UCLA, they're playing Ohio State for the championship. Florida's not going to be there. Ohio State was going to be in that game. Now I know that's, you know, ifs and buts for candy and nuts every day would be Christmas. But it does show you how dominant the Trojans have been as Glenn gets free and is brought down from behind.
Rather than trying to stop Vince Young, if Lindale White can pick up 3 more inches, they win that championship. True. Instead of stopping 10, it's a little easier to try to get to 3 inches.
And Gene Chizik, the defensive coordinator, who was coordinating the Texas defense, he got a big win over Iowa at Iowa State today in Ames. That was one of the upsets after losing a couple times.
Yeah, that was big. But I think, I don't know if people really understand how difficult it is today with scholarship reductions, how tough it is to get on a run like this that USC's enjoying. When you can go 6 or 7 years and you don't allow complacency to set in, you don't allow any problems at all where players start to worry about the NFL, they start to worry about draft status, they start to worry about agents. I think it's an epidemic in college football. It's one of the biggest challenges that big-time programs face when they have success. And SC, they're able to just kind of block it out.
I'm chuckling because I think it was Barry Switch who once said, if you coach at USC, you drive past more good football players on the way to work than I've got in the whole state of Oklahoma.
Absolutely. You're right about that.
1st down and 10. And not only does Petey get the Southern California youngsters, he goes all over. He goes up to Michigan, gets kids away from the Wolverines.
He's been enjoying New Jersey lately.
And Louisiana.
Went to Tennessee to find Patrick Turner. He just spreads the love throughout the country for the Trojans.
Loves his job. And they'll keep approaching him when that's Sunday football, and if he is as smart as I think he is, he'll stay right there. He's the mayor of Southern California, folks.
He's the guy.
Lakers, Showtime, and then USC, and when the baseball teams get in the playoffs, and that's it. That's big out there now. Keller going deep, picked off, and a penalty flag coming down. Taylor Mays, the 6'4" sophomore safety, picking it off with a penalty flag thrown on the play.
Pass interference, defense, number 7. Be a 15-yard penalty from the previous spot, first down.
The only thing that I can think of there is they got Harris for putting his right hand up on the shoulder of Purify as they went up for the ball. He's pretty clean here, but right there, maybe his upper body leans into him. That is a very, very questionable call at this point. It's a little bit irrelevant, but Purify going for the post. Harris on his back. Yeah, the right hand hooks him a little bit on the shoulder pad.
I thought it was a good call.
Yeah. By the way, how about number 2, Taylor Mays, closing ground? That's not too bad by a guy who's 6'4", 230 pounds.
Oh, Kirk, big time player. Here's Lucky. Diving for the pin on the spot. Might be a little bit short of where they finally bring it down. Well, today's Chevrolet players at the games, and we have got to go with Johnson. 11 rushes for 144 yards, and the young man throwing the ball. Dropped by Hardy, incomplete. 3rd down coming up. Keller's trying to fling one more into the end zone. He's got 1 touchdown tonight late and a pair of costly interceptions.
Well, we really thought that the storyline would be Sam Keller and what he could do throwing the football. And, I don't know if he expected to come in tonight and throw it 53 times, but there was a point in this game where he had USC on their heels and really thinking about what to do next.
Tom Osborne didn't throw it 53 times in a month.
In a season, maybe.
There's a first down. Lucky. And incidentally, in recognition of their fine efforts, Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund. Final minute here. And the Trojans now 2-0. They beat Idaho and get a week off. Then they go on the road and took care of business. And of course tonight we began the countdown. Peterson sprinting in zone, touchdown again. That's his 2nd of the night. That's 18 yards.
I've just been impressed that Nebraska hasn't just shut it down. I mean, they are trying to compete. I know the game's out of reach, but it's the principle of being early in the season and trying to get your players to buy into that concept that, guys, I don't care what the obstacle is, we cannot give up. That's an important thing for a team to grasp, especially early in the season against a team of this caliber.
That's a good point. And the coach still battling away here. Going to go for 2 again. Got a man open. Didn't pick him up early, and then threw a little bit high under some pressure. So Ernie Nevers started our countdown of the greatest 25 ever. And next Saturday, through the end of the regular season, we'll bring it down through number 3, and then on a Capital One Bowl January 1st on ABC, the number 2 rated player, and then at the Rose Bowl, number 1. Do you know who won? I do.
No,
I don't either.
No, I have no idea.
Who would you vote number 1?
Man, that is tough. Who would you? I'm going to hear yours first.
Yeah, I honestly think it's very tough. We talked about Texas. Vince Young is in the mix for me.
Yeah.
Archie won 2 Heismans. He was on great Louis Hayes teams.
Herschel Walker's up there.
Yeah, Herschel.
Roger Staubach.
Staubach
is a guy.
Yeah.
He's got to be up there.
of recent vintage, just because of what I remember what he did in several games. Vince Young as an individual stands out for me, but Reggie Bush.
Oh yeah,
heck of a, you know, it's going to be kind of interesting. It'll provoke a few arguments.
You know, that's what it's all about. Everybody likes to take care of their guy.
Well, I know that Mark Beam is also on the athletic staff here. And I know that Mark, who's done a superb job, is one of the candidates for the Pittsburgh athletic director's job. So we wish him well in that quest. This is a very well-run athletic department, not just a football, like we pointed out earlier. The volleyball team, and then of course the new basketball coach, his second year, Doc Sadler. Met the Doc. Now the Doc is a great storyteller. I wish him well. Now you know he's one of those.
Is he from Fayetteville?
Yeah, and you'd know it too. As soon as
quick.
He's good character.
Yeah. So, by my calculations, we're gonna maybe get a knee here. Call it a night.
Call it a night. 48 seconds, huh? What do you think? You got to do a game day.
I got a little post game.
You got a post game. Yeah. I got to go to a stock car race, man. I got to get on the road.
Okay.
I got to go see my guy Tony Stewart and the rest of those rascals. See what they're up to.
See, and I've never seen a NASCAR race in person.
We'll get you.
I understand it's something to see.
It is. It's exciting. So Sanchez and the Trojans bringing it down here. Another W. Good way to celebrate your birthday, huh? Picked it up, handed it back off. Lost the yardage that time. And that'll do it. 49-31. Trojans prevail. Bill Callahan heading across the field. So once again, the Trojans win one and will stay #1. So next Saturday night, tune in at 8 Eastern for either Washington State versus USC or Iowa at Wisconsin, where Kirk and I will be. For Lisa Salters, Kirk Herbstreit, I'm Brent Musburger. We hope you've enjoyed Saturday Night Football on ABC. Thanks for watching ESPN on ABC, everybody. The Trojans win it 49-31. So long, everybody.
This has been a special presentation of ESPN on ABC.